Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? To say good morning. Hope everybody's well. I did an extra video last night, depending on what happened to me in the hot tub, which has me thinking about perception, truth, interaction, things that happen that upset you and/or a disrespectful person. And then you try to figure out why and what happened. So you like getting these, and then you really dig into them, which helps you because there's always assholes out there that do that. Now, as far as if I show you pictures of my friends, it's really, we're family, not a sale. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to teach. So I try to open up to you with that type of stuff. Just to share my life with you because I think it's important. We're on that level. All right, so let's start where we always start, which is football. So let's go to the line, which I've already looked at, but let's look at it again. I don't think we'll get any changes from here on out more than what we just got. So we got Philadelphia 2.5, 45.5. When I go into the matchup, I now have the other casinos, which I didn't have the last few days. And they're all 2.5s, no threes. And the totals are all 45.5. There is a 46. 146, but all 45.5s. And then Cincinnati's now a 1.5 point favorite. I have them 2.5 and a lot of twos. 2.5, a 1.5, 2. So you can expect this line to really go to a 2 with the total on the game 46.5, 147, 247s. So I think what you're going to get is twos in this game. Very soon. As we know, Mahomes' injury and as good as Cincinnati is, and they're kind of pissed that this game's not a neutral field, which I think helps. And in fact, let's look at Mahomes' injury on here, what exactly it says. I think it's just an ankle. It says questionable with an ankle. It's an ankle sprain. He's not going to be 100%. Well, let's take a look at injuries as long as we're in injuries. Hardman, the receiver, is questionable with the pelvis. Chocolate Eclair hasn't played in a long time. He's out. Wide receiver Powell, never heard of, is out. More of the recent injuries. Let's see, Cincinnati. And I'm more looking at date. So the offensive tackle is out. Now the center's questionable with the knee, but I don't know if it's the starting center. Awuzi's out. The guard who was out is now questionable with an ankle. Trey Flowers questionable with a hamstring. And Jonah Williams, the offensive tackle who was out last week, is now questionable with the knee. So really not, the same injuries. Now, if we go into the little player props, Joe Burrow to throw for 270 yards. And then you have Mahomes 270, 273, which I don't know how he's going to get that. He can't move. It's a high ankle sprain. It's extremely difficult to push off and throw there. Now let's go to Frisco and Phillies props. Jalen Hurts throwing for 247, not the 260, and Brock Purdy throwing for 220. But again, it's a whole different animal than that. Let's go into rushing yards. Miles Sanders only 55, Brock Purdy 8.5. Well, he's not much of a runner. Jalen Hurts rushed for 50 yards. Gainwell, 8.5, 10 yards. That doesn't make sense. So Philly more of a, 4 or 5 guys run. Team props, Philly 23.5. I guess this is first half. Frisco 21.5. I don't think there'll be any scoring in the first half. You don't get a lot of scoring at first, and then they get tired. Like the Dallas game, they got tired, and then they came on. So when we broke it out, we said Frisco is 10-0. 6-0 is a road dog. I think they're 10-0 as a road dog. 16-3 overall. Philly's 15-3. So they're both good against the numbers. We looked at Purdy, who is 13-4. I don't think he threw a touchdown. No, they ran one in. I think they ran 2 in last week. Did he throw one? Anyway, he's 13-4, where Philadelphia is 22-6 was Hurts, and I think he threw 2 touchdowns, so it's 24-6. The touchdown to interceptions ratio. But you can see Frisco is a strong road dog. 6-0, 16-3, 13-3 this year. And Philly's 15-3, but they're not that strong of a Philly's 10-0 as a road dog the last 2 years. Philly's not that strong of a home favorite. They're like 74. They're like 16-4 or something like that. And then we get to Cincy, San Diego. Cincy is 10-0 as a road dog, 15-2 the last couple of years. 15-0 as a dog at home or on the road. Play against Kansas City is a home favorite, 8-0. Play against Kansas City, 16-4 is a home favorite. And we know Mahomes is 44-11 touchdown to interception, while we know Burrow is 35-12, and that doesn't include last week. Well, now the question moves to Cincinnati's now minus, really we're going to call it -2, 47.5, which makes now Cincinnati a road favorite, which changes the dynamic. Now, being a sharp better, as they like to use that term very loosely, because they don't know what it is, I've already made the bet and took Cincinnati as the dog. That's their free play. Cincinnati is the dog, which I told you on Monday to bet. Now we have the interesting dichotomy where Cincinnati is like a 2-point favorite. Do we like KC as a home dog? If Mahomes was healthy, we probably would. He's pretty banged up. Now he's going to take the needle, as Bobby said, and he's going to play. And play injured. How effective is he going to be, and how are they going to stop Joe Burrow and Mixon and Chase? KC doesn't have a good defense. They got the worst defense out there. But the fact that KC's a home dog really changes things. Even though Mahomes is hurt, it's a whole different dimension being the dog. And I hate when this changes like this. I hate when I make the bet as I got the dog plus 7.5. And then here comes the change to the dog being the favorite. Because a lot of times in these games, I want to take the dog. Like I like Frisco as the dog against Philly. If they made Frisco favorite, I'd probably like Philly. But I like Frisco as the dog probably more than I like any of the other dogs. And that's what I look at. So it's a very the trend was Cincinnati is a strong dog, but now they're favored. Okay, so now we got to look, do we like KC as the dog? Mahomes is hurt. does KC have enough firepower, and does it really matter? Like, they weren't going to be up because it's a championship game anyway, so I don't think it adds any fuel to the fire. The question's just going to be the way they handle Josh Allen. Now, Mahomes is much better than Josh Allen. So is Burrow. And this is the point I've been making. People get caught up in truth and the figuring out the perception of things. And they'll say, look how good Lamar Jackson is. And he's not good, but they'll say he's good. Or Trevor Lawrence. Look how good Trevor Lawrence is. Yeah, he sucked and threw 4 interceptions in the first half, but he came back with 4 in the second. Who does that? What quarterback throws 4 interceptions and you're calling the guy good? If Mahomes throws 4 interceptions or Josh Allen, he sucks. But if Trevor Lawrence does, so it's perception and truth that causes this. So I will get to that topic very, very soon. That's the whole kind of what I want to get to, why these people's perception of gold and economics is so screwed up, and why we have our own perception. And when somebody disrespects us, we get upset. So in this case, the perception is, Cincinnati is a better team. Injury to Mahomes, what's that going to look like? So the betting's going, well, shit. If Mahomes plays, he's hurt. He's not going to be that strong. He's limping around now. It's a high ankle sprain. He's really going to have a hard time this week, which he will. He'll take the needle because it's a championship game. He can handle pain. He played baseball. All this stuff's factored in. I hate that. I made coffee, but I didn't wait till it fully heated, so it's kind of lukewarm instead of fully heated. I'll have to make another one. Anyway, so that's what you have. So it's the perception of Mahomes being injured. Is Kansas City going to be really mad because they're a home dog? Shouldn't be. It all comes down to, can they stop Burrow and Cincinnati's defense stopping Mahomes? Will it be a close game? Or are you going to get another 27-10? Cincinnati, I already took plus 7.5. That's the joke. I mean, if KC wins, which I don't think they will, they weren't going to win by double digits. They don't win by double digits anyway. So then it's a question of, what do I do with Kansas City as a dog? Because I'm not betting anymore Cincy as a dog because they're now 2-point favorites. So do I want Cincy in 4? Well, I already have Cincy in 7.5. There's really no need to play him again plus 4. Now, my initial prediction was Frisco, Philly, Cincinnati, KC last week on video. So I told you that would be the final 4. And I said I like the dogs in the game, which I do like Frisco. And I did like Cincy as the dog. The injuries making them favorite. Now, we'll see if the line adjusts. As we get closer to the game, Mahomes maybe gets better. If Mahomes is 100%, it's KC's favored. So if he gets better, we'll see the line drop to maybe even or something. They won't want to give you a dog. So this is Vegas's problem. They shouldn't give a dog. They both should be even. Why do they want to give more than a touchdown? See, they missed the most fundamental concept, which is a sharp teaser better, which is what we are. I'm looking to get over a touchdown in these games because I think they're dead even. So I'll take the Niners in 8.5, and I wanted Cincinnati in 7.5. So the sharp bettors just give me more than a touchdown. I don't care which team it is. I'm just neutral that it's going to be a great game, both of them. And then they give you 2 points. You're like, oh, great, I get 8. So I got to look into, do I want KC in 8 now? So I have a very golden opportunity to do a double trap, provided I hit the Frisco Philly game, which is first. Then I can have KC in 8, Cincinnati in 7.5, and just hope the game ends within a touchdown, which it probably will. If any team blows out, it'll be Cincinnati blowing out KC. But that's as a dog. As a favorite, you don't normally get that. They were a dog in Buffalo, and they blow them out, which is my point. So the free pick was Cincinnati as the dog, which has now changed. I still like Cincinnati here. Just be careful with it. However, last week we had San Francisco laying 3.5 plus 2.5, so it's okay. Cincinnati's the better team, the better offense, and the better defense. Burrow and Mahomes are dead even. Mahomes has a little more touchdown passes, but you're not going to get that here. I would assume Cincinnati's going to put all sorts of pressure on Mahomes and make him scramble around, which he's not going to be able to do very well on his leg. Now, unless his leg and not high ankle sprains take a month to heal. So unless his high ankle sprain heals in 3 days, he's limping around there. They're probably better off with Chad Henne, to tell you the truth. But how do you take Mahomes out? So that's going to definitely be hurting them because it'll definitely put pressure on, make him move, which he can't really do. And that's a big part of his game. Not necessarily running like a Lamar Jackson, but moving around. So with that said, we like the dog. Philly Frisco, we like the dog. We like the under. 2 strong defenses, a 16 and a 20 defense, which means that's all they give up, 16 points and 20. They'll fly around. Hurst will not look good running around. He's got the hurt shoulder, and they're going to go after it. But Hurst isn't, Nick said, well, Prescott ran around a little. Yeah, a little. But he doesn't run like Hurst does. So the defensive game plan is different every week. So against a Prescott, you're not really, he'll run a little, but not too much. But against Hurst, they'll play him more to run, like they would play Arizona with Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson or Daniel Jones. I mean, look at Philly against Daniel Jones. They played him to run, but they can't play Brock Purdy the same way as they played Daniel Jones. So the quarterback presents a different thing. If they played Aaron Rodgers, they couldn't play him to run. They have to play him differently. So that's what you got. I think this is a dead even game. I take the points, whoever's the dog. And I think it's a low scoring game based on what we saw against Dallas. Dallas is also a 20 defense, but hadn't played like it. Philly hasn't always played, but the way they looked, and it's a playoff game for the Super Bowl, everybody's on board. Very rough hitting, very rough to score touchdowns. So you get your field goals, but that's about it. So again, I like Frisco in the 8.5 and the game under. Cincinnati now, it was a very strong Cincinnati dog. They're the better team. They have the better defense. And in these games, I like betting the better defense. So what they did to Josh Allen, and you can't blame the snow because it's in Buffalo and they get snow and they know how to play in it. And it didn't better Burrow. So that's what I think here. I don't know what the weather is. It shouldn't be too bad. Since he's got the better defense, and now they have the better quarterback because Mahomes with the high ankle sprain. Better running with Cincy. And Jamar Chase, I think, is the X factor. Where you had Tyreek Hill, he's gone, and that's huge. Scanling and Schuster are not – they're not that hard to cover. So I think Cincinnati is fine here. I think if you can get them over a field goal, they're okay. The question is, what's KC as a home dog? And then we can go from there. I would go look now, but I've had a hard time where I lose my, I've got my boxes, my little different sites on top. And sometimes when I click on them, I'll lose this site to get to that site. So I'm very leery about that. So I won't do that right now. So again, I like Cincy as the dog. If it's 1.5, you can get 4.5. I would suggest you bet Cincy in 4.5 now. I think they can win probably pretty comfortably like they won last week. They're the better team, but they're also pissed off that this game's not on a neutral site and should be. And why, if Buffalo won, it would be in a neutral site, but not Cincinnati. So I think Cincinnati's got a lot to prove here. They beat KC the last 3 times as a dog. The last game was what, 24-20? Let's see what. Let's go to the history here of KC. Hey, Phil. It is a fact they will put Mahomes out there, or is Henny a possibility? Judging by the line, it's I think Mahomes plays, and we'll see how effective he is. I think we'll know more by Saturday or by Sunday because, he's got a week to heal, but it's a high ankle sprain, which takes a month. He looked pretty, it was a pretty bad ankle sprain. He couldn't put weight on it, and it doesn't get better. It gets worse. I remember Isaiah Thomas against the Lakers in 88 before they won the title in 89 and 90. And in 88, the Pistons were playing Magic Johnson and Kareem. That was the Bill Laimbeer. I didn't follow him, and Kareem goes to the line and makes the 2, and they win. And Isaiah gets his ankle rolled the same way, and he could only be on one leg. And he puts up like 30 points in the third quarter. He hit every shot. And I don't know what happened, but it was like he took every shot, he hit every shot. And he has like a 30-point third quarter, and he's limping around, but he can't put weight on it. And then they had to play game 7, and he was nowhere to be found. He played limping around, very much in pain. So it hurts more after the adrenaline dies. So I bet he's on crutches this whole week, icing it, but it's a high ankle sprain, which is basically means you got a broken bone in like this part of your ankle, right? So this is where it's broke. So it takes time to heal. Even if you were to fast the whole week, it would still take time to heal. Although it would probably be quicker if he did a 7-day fast and just had his water and tea. He'd probably heal quicker, but he's not going to be 100%. It's not an injury that you finish in a week. So we will see. But judging from the line going from KC -1.5 to Cincy going now -1.5, and then I've seen some -2s. I think just keep an eye on the line. If it goes back to even, Mahomes is playing and he feels okay. At 2, it's Mahomes injured and or Henny. I still like Cincy if you can get 4.5 on him. My free play is Cincy +7.5, which I already bet Monday with Nick. When I bet early, as the sharps will do, this sharp took advantage of knowing Mahomes' injury, seeing the line on Monday, going, "Fuck, you're making KC 1.5 when Mahomes is not ready, and he's not going to be 100%." I took Cincy in 7.5. They're the better team. So if we look at the history, we know Cincinnati's won the last 3. So let's go. These are all 22 games. So January 22, Cincy wins 34-31. That must have been week 17 or week 18. Then in the championship game to go to the Super Bowl, they win 27-24. Another 3-point game. And then this year, Cincinnati beats them 27-24. So 2 things. They're all high scoring and they're all close, but they're all with Mahomes. So what do we do with that factor? Without Mahomes, are they going to be that close? But we know since he won all 3. Now, here's my point about data, right? Back in 2015, Cincinnati won 36-21 with neither Burrow or Mahomes playing. Then Mahomes is playing in 2018, I believe. They win 45-10. This is why you can't go back 10 years and look at history, because the parts change, right? Now you got Mahomes and now you got Burrow. You didn't have Burrow before. You didn't have either of them before. And that's my point about when these idiots come out and try to compare gold to 2008, saying, well, look what happened in 2008 to gold. You had an economic downturn. Well, you didn't. You had a housing crisis because these idiots did mortgage-backed securities, assuming everybody was going to pay off their mortgage. But since you gave mortgages to high-risk people who didn't have credit, who aren't going to pay it back as soon as the variable rate goes from 1 to 3, because they can't afford the loan they got, that collapses. Well, that was pretty obvious, and you knew that was going to happen as soon as Clinton passed the law saying, give bad mortgages, we'll back you up. So that was already a fact that they could do the risk and the government was going to back them. So how do you compare that to this? The difference is there's huge debt going on right now, so you can't. And there's really not the same housing crisis. Now it's because of inflation and high interest rates. Anybody in a variable mortgage is fucked because their mortgage just went up. So my advice is always to get a fixed rate mortgage. Get in with what you can afford. So you work backwards. I can afford this. This is the house I'm going to buy. This is what I need to put down. And I'm fixing it for 30 years because this is what I want to pay is what, $1,200, $1,500 a month. And that's it. I can't afford $3,000. I'm not going to get raises at work. Da, 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 da. So that's what you do. Phil, pick selling scammers like Mark Lawrence. Love those 1990 trends. I've always thought they were useless for the same reasons you said. Who's Mark Lawrence? Pick selling scammers. Elaborate on this, Phil. What are we talking about? Mark Lawrence, is he a finance guy who was scamming? I'm not that familiar with that, but just let me know what you're thinking. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. They keep people in the dark, which is going to go to my next topic of perceptions and truth. Anyway, so the last 3 games, Mahomes, we're all in 2022. Mahomes against Burrow. Burrow wins all 3 by 3. That's what I would take here. If Mahomes is healthy, then I could see teasing that. Now in the game, Cincy, KC's 2.5 favorites. KC's laying 7 in the championship game, and KC was laying 3.5. So you can see KC being the favorite. 7, man. I had that in the chat. I had Cincinnati in the championship. Guys that sell picks, they do radio interviews and sell their bad picks, always relying on trends. Are you talking football or stocks or really anything? You're just saying people that sell picks or stocks, because Mark Lawrence, is he I don't know the name. Is he a handicapper or is he just a stock guy? I was listening to a little bit because I can't stand Warren Buffett, and they're trying to say, look at the returns this guy did. Well, he buys $1 million. He's a sports guy. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, if he's putting old trends in or he's trying to use trends, if you notice, trends to me, like in this case, we got Frisco's 10-0 as a road dog. It helps the pick, and it's over the last 2 years. I'm not going back 10 years, but it's not the reason I'm making the pick. It's part of the reason I'm making the pick. It's mostly the Niner defense, and I like Brock Purdy, and I like McCafferty, and I like Deebo Samuel, and then the other receiver, I want to say Ajayi, but I don't know if that's right, a Duke or something, because I didn't know who their other receiver was, and I was watching the highlights of the game last night, and it was a Duke. So I was up late after our show watching like people explain like one guy explaining the economy and what will gold do and everything. On that one idiot show where he keeps interrupting to say, "Oh, you're saying this or you're saying that." Dude, you're fucking up the whole thought process of we're watching. We understand what he's saying. If your audience is a bunch of fifth graders, then maybe you need to do a review video or at the end. Hey, Rocky. I think San Francisco or Cincinnati are my picks, healthier and hungrier. Anything can happen, but I like the Bengals Niners. Okay. So I assume you're listening to my analysis where that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to determine if I like KC because they went to dogs. Why do you like them, Rocky? So I'm going to be nice and say, okay, give me the reason why. They're healthier and hungrier. Do they eat better diets? Are they eating steaks and Philly not? So if you're going to give picks, I really not interested in your picks, but if you're going to give them, let's give some explanation to it. Anyway, so yeah, I try to use meaningful trends. And as I discussed, I can't go back 5 years anymore because there's so many changes with coaches and quarterbacks that, as we've discussed, well, Burrow has only been there, this is his third year. So I can only go back 2 years on Burrow. I can go, 2020, 23, 22, and 21. So anything past 21, I can't look at Cincinnati's trends. So none of these 10-0 as a road dog is the last 2 years. It's not even the last 3 years. Their 16-3 is this year with Burrow. So yes, I'm very conscious of Burrow trends and not. And as I've explained before, I can't use New England because Brady's not there anymore. I couldn't use Indy once Manning went to Denver. I had to get new Denver trends. I couldn't use the Tebow Denver. And this is what's killing me is, Russell Wilson now goes to Denver. I've got no trends for Denver. Seattle has Geno Smith. Now I can't use Russell Wilson trends. So Stafford goes to the Rams. I can't use those trends. So I can't even use trends anymore. That's why the first few weeks are very difficult because you're trying to get the new team with the new coach and everybody's changed. I've never seen anything like it where you have a coach for a year. Like, look at Arizona. They had a coach. They let him go. After 1 year, they bring in this guy from Texas Tech who sucked at Texas Tech. They didn't even have a 500 record. What are you thinking? They bring in this coach. They had just drafted Josh Rosen with the 4th or 5th pick. They get rid of him to bring in Kyler Murray for this coach. They made the playoffs last year and immediately got crushed by the Rams. So the whole thing doesn't work against a good defense. And then now they go, oh, yeah, I guess we made a mistake. And Kyler Murray runs too much, gets injured, like Lamar Jackson, like Hurts, like all these running quarter fields, they're all injured. It's the NFL. The linemen are faster than these quarterbacks. It's not college. You bring in all these Alabama receivers who do nothing because the guys are not – you're not playing Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, and Arkansas State where you can just – that's how Tagovailoa – that's why I don't like Tagovailoa. That's where he got his numbers from, was against Arkansas State and Vanderbilt and Tulane and these bad schools, and he'd go and throw for 6 touchdowns and 400 yards, and then he'd play LSU or Georgia or Clemson or Ohio State, and he doesn't show up. That's what Trevor Lawrence does. So they build their stats, but you got to dig into that and understand their stats are being built against weak teams. And then you see Tagovailoa, wow, 40 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Well, let's look at that. Well, wait, 20 of the touchdowns were against Arkansas State, New Mexico State, Vanderbilt, and Tulane. How did he do against the good teams? Oh, he was 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's what you got to look at. You can't look at the whole number. Now, the reason we look at Joe Burrow, He didn't play those games. He did it against Georgia. He did it against Florida, Alabama, Auburn, LSU. Or he was on LSU. And then in the playoff against Clemson, he lit them all up for 45 points, and all the touchdowns were against pro talent. That's why we looked at his body of work and said, this guy's great. And that's my conclusion there was for the Lions to trade Stafford, give them the number 1 pick and their number 2 pick to get Burrow. I don't know if Cincinnati would have done it, but maybe if they would have gotten the Stafford and the 3rd pick in the draft, which we took Okuda with, what a stupid pick that is, then that would have been maybe how you get Burrow, but they didn't do that. And then the next year they give it to the Rams. It was like, what a bunch of morons. But you got a spot of Burrow. Josh Allen, like I said, I watched him against Air Force just to see who he was. I didn't know who he was. And I know every quarterback in college. He did not appear in my radar the year he was drafted. All that came out was he's got a big arm. That doesn't make you a good quarterback. You can't read a blitz. He wants to run too much. And here we go against Cincinnati. There's nowhere to be seen. They get 10 points. No, that doesn't happen to Joe Montana or Brady. You can hold them to 10 for a half, but not the whole game. And that's my point. And Air Force blitzed them and sacked them 6 times in a game against fucking Air Force. And that's what I'm saying. This guy's not good. And then here you go. As soon as they put pressure on him, he's lousy. And so that's kind of what it is. You just need to put the pressure on him as a defensive coordinator, and you beat him. But these defensive coordinators are so stupid they can't figure that out. So that's what I look at. So this Mark Lawrence, again, if he comes off as a salesman, guy sells picks, they do radio interviews and sell their bad picks, always relying on trends. You see, those are people that don't know what they're doing, and you're going to get caught. You're going to get Madoff. So he sounds like Madoff. He's conning you with the picks and the trends and all this shit, which he needs a way of figuring it, but you can't scam people, and you can't con people, and you can't lie to people. I think that's what I take out, and that's why I go through all the games. Shit, I explain down to the nth degree my picks. If you think I'm doing, if you were like thinking I'm Madoff and he's, he can't support where you're getting the money or how you're making the picks, that's why I do what I do. I support it. Because my goal is not, I want to make money from my picks, of course, because it's a highly valued skill, but I want to make you money. So the people that don't pay, who listen, like Phil or Bobby, who go, who do you like? And I gave you Frisco last week. That was my free pick. You made money on it, but I explained it. And when you bet it, you could explain it to your spouse or your kids or your buddies going, I took Frisco because of their killer defense and Prescott sucks. And I even bet he's going to throw 2 picks, and he did. So I get it down pretty much to a science, but I'm an analyst, and I do it well. And, I agree, Phil. I don't think you're doubting me, but I'm just saying these guys are salesmen. So I implore, I'm not a salesman. That's what I do. I'm an analyst, and that's what I do very, very well in this. So again, when we look at the Cincinnati KC, it's Burrow against Mahomes the last 3 games, which Cincinnati was the dog and won all 3. Here you have a different animal. You got Mahomes hurt. Is he playing? Well, he's listed his question, but right now you assume he's playing. It's a championship game. Does he play more than the first quarter? Is he so banged up he can't walk? And since he's just going to attack and go from there, and Henny gets in the second quarter, or is he going to be better by Sunday, maybe 50, 60%, where he can sort of limp around and throw like he did at the end of the game last week to beat Jacksonville? So we'll see, but it ain't Jacksonville. Jacksonville wasn't smart enough to blitz. Cincinnati showed you what they can do against Josh Allen. So since he's pissed because this is not a neutral site, I firmly believe had they would have beat Buffalo as they just did, KC might have choked one of the two games, and Buffalo to me, or Cincinnati to me, should have been the 1 seed, but they got that stripped from them, and off you go. But they got the taste of the Super Bowl last year. Now they are. It's like the Steelers, right? They beat the Raiders on the Immaculate Reception, then lost to Miami. Didn't come back in 73. The Raiders kicked their ass. See, nobody understands that one. The Raiders got revenge for the Immaculate Reception in 73. They killed them, right? But in 74, Pittsburgh drafts Swan, Stallworth, and Lambert, and then they get Oakland and they kill them, and then they kill them the next year. So you have to lose to win. Well, Cincinnati lost last year. Now they're back. It's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl. Cincinnati, Frisco, Cincinnati, Philly. I personally think Cincinnati, Frisco will be your Super Bowl, and I'm taking the dog in that game. Maybe the under also. See, I was surprised Jimmy Johnson got surprised saying he thought it would be a high-scoring game last week, and I'm like, why would you think that? If you looked at Frisco's defense, there were 16. You're not scoring a lot on them, and then Dallas is at 20. Now, maybe Dallas's defense doesn't play like a 20, but it sure did there. And why would you think it would be a high-scoring game with two great defenses? See, that's the key to the whole key to it now is looking at how good are the defenses, because you're not going to move on these defenses. Hey, Bobby, how are you? Good morning. I was actually just watching last night's playback. Well, you were on last night's show. You were the star. You, The Rock, Ric Flair, putting figure fours on the guy in the hot tub. I should have done that. Just figure four to him and make him and not giving up on it. I think Bobby Moe might have passed out at the end. Yeah, I was noticing I wasn't getting comments from you. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. Rocky, oops, my mistake. Didn't see since he moved to -2.5. I already made my bet when it was KC -1. Well, I gave the bet out. I gave the free play out on Monday. So trusting you're watching my shows and you saw my free pick go out on Monday. I see some 2s and some 2.5s on Cincinnati. So you can still get it 2. At the time I turned on the show about a half hour ago. You just want to get it over 3.5. And again, now it's a waiting game. How bad is Mahomes hurt? And well, Bobby, you thought he'd take the needle now but it's a high ankle sprain. Can you take a needle for that? Because I've seen a lot of guys with high ankle sprains and they're fucked. They can't. It's a broken bone. You really can't needle it. I think it was the Alabama quarterback, Tagovailoa, I thought, got the high ankle sprain, and he was out. I should have tombstoned him. Right in the hot tub, I should have tombstoned him. Yeah, I didn't like that laugh. He was very rude. And that's part of the show today is truth and whatever the hell else I said. I can't remember. Tombstone that son of a bitch for laughing at gold and silver. Perception. So let me write that down. Truth, perception. So I believe those. Okay, so let's finish with football. So anyway, I don't know what Mahomes' stat. We'll have to see what the line does, right? I assume he's playing because it's his championship game, but he's going to limp around. Maybe at best he plays the first half, but once you sit down and you're sitting down for a half hour for halftime, you're not getting up. So you can kind of needle it in the beginning of the game and the adrenaline, and you're okay that first quarter, maybe the first half. You sit down for halftime, you're fucked. You're done at that point. So I think you get Mahomes, and then you get Chad Henne, and he's looking for Indiana and Illinois and Purdue because he thinks he's back at Michigan. He was okay at Michigan. He was nothing great. But that's part of the thing. So I think Mahomes plays. He's going to play, but he's not going to be effective. So I like Cincy, but I'd get it in +4. And then if it really zooms to Cincinnati -5 or 6, I might think of KC in the points. But In the 3 games, Cincinnati played Kansas City. They were all in 2022. One was January, one was the championship game, and then one was during the season this year. KC's 3-point favorites, although KC was a 7-point favorite in the championship game, and Cincinnati won all 3 by 3 points. So again, at what point do we take Kansas City as the dog, where we love Cincinnati as the dog? But I've already got my Cincinnati bet in plus 7.5. So again, the sharp makes the bet at the appropriate time, not waiting for the bullshit Sunday noon to make my bet. I love how they say the sharp money's coming in. So what did the guy say? Yeah, I picked 60%. I'm a sharp, and I check a box, and then they know sharp money. I mean, that to me is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Trying to say the sharp money is now on whatever, Philadelphia, San Francisco, over or under. How the fuck do they possibly know if it's a sharp money, or are they going by amount? Oh wait, there's a big bet in. There's a big bet the other day, I think. I can't remember. All I know is the Baltimore owner bet $3 million on the Jets in that Super Bowl. A minor red flag. Let's see. The owner of Baltimore is betting against his team. They say the mafia killed him. He drowned. What's his name? Rosenblum. He drowned, and they said the ironic part is he never swam alone. He always swam with a partner. That day he swam alone, and a mysterious, skin diver type of black outfit guy pulls him under and kills him. And he owned the mafia a lot of money, and that's what it was. Now, you'd think they would have just not killed him. They would have just kept taking his money. But when the owner of one team bets on the other team, probably not a good thing. So, that's why I don't like FanDuel and BetMGM as sponsors of the NFL. It opens it up to how crooked is this fucking league that they have gambling sponsors. Bobby, you probably remember this. Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays were at Atlantic City as sponsors, and they had to quit because it was a bad image. Even though they were both retired, it was both way after they retired, but they couldn't be around with gambling, with casinos, even though it didn't matter at the time. So I remember Mantle and Mays had to quit it. So now they let everything go. I mean, it's so stupid. Anyway, I can't give you a score on the Cincinnati game now until I know what Mahomes is doing. Let's give a score on a Philly game. I'm going to say Niners 20, Eagles 17. It's about right. I don't think they get into the 20s. I think it's a 3-point game. I think the Niners, I like Robbie Gould, doesn't miss a kick for 15 years. How did the Bears let him go? He was on the Bears. I almost think he was on the Bears with McMahon, but I know that was Kevin Butler from Georgia. That's about it. I don't see them scoring a lot. And Nick's worried about Prescott running, and I'm saying don't worry about it. They will change their defense for Jalen Hurts running. And Jalen Hurts still has the hurt shoulder. It didn't get better. It still hurts. I'm sure he shot up for it. But on the Niners, man, I'm going after that shoulder. I'm pulling out Jack Tatum film going, let's clothesline the son of a bitch and nail his shoulder and everything we need to do to get him out. And Minshew's okay. I don't have a problem, but they don't know how to call plays for Minshew. But again, the running quarterback, he'll try to run too much. And in the red zone, you aren't scoring the touchdowns on his little quarterback draws against the Niners. Not with this defense. So Prescott tried. He couldn't get in. He hits the tight end. That was their touchdown. And then it was the guy misses the extra point, and he kicks 2 field goals. So that was it. They got 1 touchdown the whole day. And Dallas's offense is probably just as good as Philly's. Prescott can run. They got Ezekiel Elliott. They got Lamb. They got receivers. They got everything. probably a better offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, but Frisco just shut it down. So let's go 2017 49ers. And then we don't know what to do with KC, Cincinnati yet until we get a little more confirmation. Right now, I would say Cincinnati 30, KC 20 would be my initial guess. If Mahomes was 100% healthy, I would say 30-28. That would be my pick, Cincinnati. Cincinnati wins regardless. It's just how many does KC get? How long? I'm assuming Mahomes the first half, and then Chad Henne the second half. That's my guess based on a high ankle sprain. And Dr. Bobby he'll take a shot, but once you get to the halftime, I don't think you can take another shot. That's why they come out and they're all like limping around because they can't take the shot after half like they did before the game. I don't know how many hours it takes. So that's football. It'll be a hell of a Super Bowl. You got you got 3 good teams in KC with Mahomes injured, who's really not a good team. They don't have the defense. So Cincinnati, Frisco, Philly are 3 really good teams. I just think the Niners and the Bengals are a little bit more cream. I just think Frisco with McCaffrey, they lost some games early, right? But with McCaffrey and Purdy, this is a whole different. This is the number 1 seed, not Philadelphia. And Philly, we've seen their show. They're not going to be able to run Boston Scott on this defense. He's got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The speed isn't there for this isn't Alabama, right? So Devontae Smith's speed isn't going to help him against this Niner defense. They're flying, and that'll also affect Hurts running against this defense. It's not going to happen. So those are some of the keys. When you got speed on defense like this, it's like a pitcher throwing 110 miles an hour. You're not hitting the guy. No matter how good you can hit, you're not hitting Nolan Ryan too often or Verlander. The defense wins when it comes to this. So the Niners with the better defense is why I'm betting it. Since he's got the better defense over KC, but again, we got to wait for Mahomes. But even if Mahomes was 100%, I'd still be on Cincinnati here. So those are your 2. Since he's the free play, I do like the 49ers and the under in that game. And as far as Cincy, with Mahomes banged up, it's almost an under game also. It's 47.5, which I'm surprised that doesn't drop with Mahomes. KC, without Mahomes, is not going to score in this game. And since he showed you, they put up 27 on Buffalo. Should have been 31 with the Jamar Chase catch. What the fuck does he got to do? He caught the ball 2 feet in bounds, and then the guy pushed him down. But the catch and the steps, that's the catch. It's complete. If he gets knocked down, I don't care if the ball moves 15 minutes later. Who gives a shit? That's the problem with the NFL with this catch rule. They want to run it for 10 minutes after the guy catches the ball. Like, it's a catch, period. He caught it. He got 2 feet in. It's a touchdown. End of play. Not, well, wait, 30 seconds later, the ball came a little loose because the guy pushed it and grabbed the ball. Well, who gives a fuck? He caught it 2 feet in bounds. It's a touchdown. That's it. Especially if the ref calls it a touchdown. Why are we jacking off with, let's look at instant replay to see if it's actually a catch in super slow motion, 20 minutes play. But that's not how the game's played. The game's called with the referee on the field in regular speed. So we're going to slow it frame by frame. Oh, look, if you got to do that, the play should stand. And I'm really, it's really frustrating watching the games. I think I turned on a movie. When San Diego's up 27-0, I didn't watch the second half. I had a movie on. I just can't stand. And then the announcers, I can't stand Aikman or Romo or Collinsworth. And this idiot who did the Niner game What was this guy on drugs? Who was that guy? Some tight Greg Olson? Fuck, what is he doing out there? So you can't really get a good analyst. And if I got to listen to Nance and Romo, like, dude, you didn't win a playoff game. You sucked. You turned it over. You fucked up the field goal. You're a loser. And you keep saying, well, they got to do this, they got to do that. Like, you don't know shit. It's like Matt Millen saying, oh, this guy's going to play on Sunday. Matt, you were the general manager for the Lions, and you couldn't spot talent if it came up to you. If you had Ted Hendricks in the draft, you wouldn't have drafted him. So don't say this guy's going to play on Sunday. You've already proven you have no idea how to judge talent. So anyway, that's your scores. 2017, Cincy 30 to something. We'll see how Mahomes progresses. And the best way is just keep your eye on the line. All right. Gold price today is up to like 1950. I saw it. I keep getting two different gold prices. It's really frustrating. So on one hand, gold price today, see here, it says 1952, right? So we're up to 1950, up 6, and you can see our 10 o'clock dip. Now, I've shown you this, 4 or 5 days in a row, and every day you see the dip at 10, and then every day it comes back. All you got to do is wait for the dip, wait for it to start going up, and then you buy it. Those are the gold stocks. Now, the confusing part is I go into goldprice.org, and it says 1934. Now, you still see the 10 o'clock dip and then the rise. I don't get why one's 1950 and then this one's showing 1934. It makes no sense. I'm going with the 1950, and then silver's 2362, Bobby. So have faith, no worries. So again, we know it's phony, which is really pissing me off, that perception. Why am I getting pissed off? Because everybody wants to call it, they want to quote the derivative price. Well, in 2008, gold was here. Well, that was derivative. And then they quote this price. Well, it's 19 something. Maybe it'll get to 2100. Again, showing their stupidity like this Mark Lawrence guy by saying it's the paper price, not differentiating it, or even worse, thinking that's the physical price. The Dow is up 64 points today for some reason. So when we get into it, tech earnings could wreck Wall Street's party. Walmart is raising its minimum wage to $14 an hour. Stock markets, the Dow slips. I mean, just they're all fucking clueless. A lot of what that is people panicking. They know the dollar's slipping, so they're trying to get into safe haven, so they're in stocks and bonds, because when they call up their financial planner, he tells them to get into stocks and bonds. So the perception of the morons at the pool and whoever else we talk to says, I'm in stocks or bonds or Bitcoin. You should have bought Bitcoin. It's now 23. Let's see where Bitcoin is, just curiosity. So you got to love the guy who's, after the fact says, oh, well, you could have been in Bitcoin and made money. Oh, really? Anybody can pick after the. I could have bet. Let's see who played. You know what? I could have bet Jacksonville in 9.5 last week and made money. The same thing, buddy. Crypto, Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin price is 22,932. Now, is there any explanation for the rise? No. it's probably deemed safe haven. People not wanting to get into gold, getting into Bitcoin. See, they don't give explanation here, right? There's no, it's a cryptocurrency is what they say, but you don't know why it's up or down. So it's 22,000. Yep. We all could have been in at 15,000. We all would have been millionaires, but you know what? Gold doesn't move. Well, oh, okay. You're a winner. Go into Bitcoin. Why are you into Bitcoin? Well, I don't know. It goes up. Oh, okay. And that's so what am I talking about today? Truth and perception. Thinking about what happened at the hot tub yesterday, thinking about the contrarians, the people that don't believe gold or don't understand it. Their perception is so fucked up that they don't understand, and they're too stupid to learn the truth, ask the questions, do the reading, listen to their Austrian economist. They're too fucked up. They just are lazy, and they go, oh, if Peter Schiff says this, then that's what it is. What movie you put on, Professor? During the football game? I don't know. I got to think back to Sunday. I was watching The Devil's Brigade yesterday. I like that movie. It's a nice war movie. What was I watching? I was watching some Money Heist in Spanish. And it's a whole different, like I've watched Money Heist a lot. Obviously, I'm the professor taking it from Money Heist. And I've watched it in English a couple of times. And I just love how smart he is in the plans. And I'm using a lot of what he did as plan A, plan B, plan C, and how smart he was. And that's something that I like watching that. So I turned it on in Spanish with English subtitles, and they're talking, and it's a whole different, the whole thing's different because what they're actually saying is not how it was translated. And it's a little different. And, the plot, I just finished the first one, is still the same. So I've been watching it, but I don't watch the whole thing. I watched the first few episodes, then I watched the end of when they got the last few, when they did the first heist where they printed all the money. Then I'll watch the first 2 episodes of the second heist, and then I'll go to season 5. And I always love there's only one part I don't understand in part 9 of season 5 is why Berlin's son would take the gold from the professor. It makes no sense. Although they do explain it a little, that Berlin's wife thinks, or ex-wife thinks, they're going to give the gold back because the professor, that's where I'm getting the switch it for brass, but he doesn't tell anybody. So it's a little secret because if people get tortured, they're going to say, oh, it's brass. So he wants them to think it's gold and not brass that he's exchanging. But Berlin's wife doesn't know that. So she steals it thinking, you're not going to give it back. We're not going to let you give it back. That's probably what the little note he gave to his nephew was. It's just like Copenhagen, which is where they switched the brass for the gold in Copenhagen, which was brilliant. And I think he's saying it's the same thing. Give me back my gold and I'll give you a cut. And that's what he did. I think that's what he said. 2 for the Money. No, I don't watch 2 for the Money. That's an embarrassment on handicappers to watch that moron. They just don't know how to do the movie. I mean, if me and Bobby did a movie on sports handicapping, it would be like this class. It would be very much where, like the one guy who he charged $1 million for the picks, I wouldn't have charged him $1 million. I'd say, I'll give you the picks. I'm not going to pick every game. We're going to do teasers, and I'm going to give you different units to bet, not the same. And I'm going to tell you when it's a lock and when it's just a regular play. And I want you to bet more on the locks. It's up to you. Whatever your bankroll is, this goal is about increasing your bankroll. That was never said in the movie. Why not? That's how you win betting on anything. Craps, blackjack, poker. you increase your bankroll. That's what you're trying to do, is go from 5,000 to 10,000. And you do it by betting the bets for different amounts. And as you win, now your bankroll is 7,000, then 8,000. That's the whole goal of betting sports, as the same role of investing in stocks or anything else. Now, the only difference is gold and silver. We don't need to invest like that because we're just waiting for it to go up. So, truth and perception. So this guy, let's break him down. He sees Peter Schiff. He doesn't know what he's doing. Do I invest in gold? Well, I heard JP Morgan keeps the price down. So I know that. However, that's probably what I was told 5 years ago. So I don't know if that's still in play or not. I don't know what to think of that. But you know what? If they keep the price down, I don't want to invest in it because it won't go anywhere, because he's not looking at gold for its true purpose, which is protection from this going to zero. And therefore, why would I be in gold? It's not going to go anywhere. Well, this is going down. So his first perception is void because he doesn't get that this is being destroyed. Oh, well, the dollar will never go away. His second perception is he doesn't understand inflation, which is deteriorating this. So those are the two key functions you need to understand. Is inflation's eating this away and it's going to zero or very, very low. That's your first perception that you're missing, that you don't understand what inflation is. He probably thinks it's increases in prices and that, it's coming down and the prices will go down and therefore inflation will go away and then I don't need gold. Again, perception and truth are void. They're not what's really happening. He believes Peter Schiff. I've listened to Peter Schiff about 3 times, threw up, said this guy does not know what Austrian economics is. He doesn't understand the difference between physical and paper markets. He thinks that the paper will go up a little. We don't give a fuck about the paper market. We care about physical because we buy ounces. We don't buy ETFs, and we don't give a fuck about the paper. So that's another problem, that his perception of the truth is fucked up. So then he meets me and I say, well, wait a minute. I'm going to change your perception, because the truth is the BRICS countries, Russia's got 15,000 tons of gold and China's got 40,000 tons of gold. Their mafias want gold to go up because all they care about is money. And if you have that much gold, you don't want it to be $2,000 an ounce. You want it to be 40, 50,000 tons. You want it to be the true value. Let's put it that way. And so he doesn't understand that perception that BRICS countries come in and they're coming out with dollars backed by gold, which is going to make the price of gold go up, which is going to make this non-competitive, which is going to make the U.S. need to come out with dollars backed by gold. Anytime you back anything by gold, you then need gold price to go up because you have to print so much of this shit. So the guy's perception of truth is false. He doesn't understand that something's changed in the game. The BRICS countries, the gold, the inflation. He misses all that. And he goes, well, you could have had Bitcoin. You could have made money with Bitcoin. No, Bitcoin's not real. So again, your perception of truth on Bitcoin is wrong. It's not an asset. It's not money. It's not gold. It's bullshit. And it's got no value. You might as well have like a pet rock and say, well, look, it's up to $10,000 a rock. Anything, Bellagio cup. Okay, this is going to be Bitcoin, and now it's worth $10,000 for this cup. That could happen. It could be worth $10,000, but at the end of the day, it's a fucking cup. It doesn't have really. Maybe it has a $2 value that I could sell it to somebody at the club who happens to like Bellagio and likes the color blue and says, yeah, I'll give you $2 for it. That's the fair price. But to then say, oh, you could have been in Bitcoin, it's now 22,000. Well, Yeah, that's after the game, right? Oh, why did I call with pocket aces that lost? Oh, well, oh yeah. After the hand, after the game, after things happen, it's very easy to pick. Again, your perception and your truth's fucked up. So I come in saying, the BRICS countries and inflation, that's why gold's going to go up. The COMEX has collapsed. JP Morgan's out of that. I'm going to go look for a story for you guys. Which I don't know if I can find, but let me do this. JP Morgan out of COMEX. Okay, so let's look at this heading. JP Morgan finally leaving the markets. Former JP Morgan traders convicted. Oh, wait, down here. Convicted of fraud attempts on the market. JP Morgan to pay $920 million for manipulating presses. Well, that's 2020. JP Morgan to pay $60 million to settle precious metals lawsuit in 2021. JP Morgan gold manipulation. It's not really. So there was a story I read, and I'll look for it later, and I'll present it later. Anyway, there's a story where they're out of the market, basically. They're realizing they can't short it anymore, that nobody's going to buy their shorts. It's blown up. So the banks are getting out of the derivative market, which is what keeps it down, which is why you see 1950 now. Because if they were still manipulating it, it would still be 1650, 1680 for gold. But it's not. It's 1950, and it keeps going up. Now, that is in no way the physical price. That is simply the derivative paper price. But you can see it's one way now. They can't short it to keep the price down, and then somebody would come in to buy it. This person's out. So if they short it, they're fucked because the option would expire and they'd owe it all. So they're out, and they're buying as much physical as they can, which is why the physical supply is so short, because they're buying it all because they know they're fucked, right? They still have derivative prices of selling gold and silver. Nobody's buying them, so they know they're gonna lose $1 trillion. So they are buying as much gold and silver to protect themselves. So why do that if it's a fixed market? So they're out of it now. So is a couple other banks, and now it's just small banks. And so with them out of the derivative market, gold will go up. Then you've got the Russians and the Chinese. So look what's happened. This is like saying, well, Casey's good. Oh, wait, Mahomes is injured. Oh, something came in. The perception and truth has changed now. Mahomes is not 100%. He's injured. So are you still going to bet on Kansas City? Wait a minute, something changed. But he's not looking at the something changed in gold and silver and JP Morgan and derivatives and the BRICS countries and the heavy inflation and the heavy debt. Well, what happened in 1980? Volcker raised rates to 20%. He can't do that because of the $100 trillion in debt the U.S. is in and the whole world's in. And he's collapsing the whole world with his high interest rates because they all owe money back to the U.S. And if you raise the interest rates, that's more that Euro and Germany and Switzerland and China and Japan have to pay the U.S. back because we're the lead currency. We're no longer the lead currency. There's now a yuan, petro yuan. Nobody wants the fat, ugly dollar. Well, you've got to take that into consideration when you're talking gold and silver, which he's not doing. Matt Maloney. Yeah. I think you're talking about Mike Maloney, the guy who's got red hair, now blonde hair, this guy, I found him interesting at first. See, I like this heading, more money coming to gold, but I don't know who this guy is. See, I don't just look at the guy, middle coop. I've never heard of him. Gold price 100 times what it is now. That's about, I'm figuring 25 times, right? 2,000 to 50,000. I'm being conservative for us. But okay, so here's what they're doing. Vietnam collapses due to the rate hikes. Sri Lanka's collapsed, Pakistan's collapsed, India's collapsed, Japan's collapsed, the euro has collapsed. So this is what they're doing, but they're doing it on purpose. It's all part of the plan. Vietnam kept selling U.S. treasuries, and with the higher interest rate, that's what everybody does. They sell they normally buy treasuries. They're all selling. Japan, the euro, Germany, all these countries. That's what's happening. Here, decline of U.S. dollar, rise of multipolarity. Well, basically, that's the BRICS countries. So you can see it all over the place. Decline of the U.S. dollar. It's collapsing. It's going to make gold go through the fucking roof. It's what it does. Now, where's this guy Bobby's telling me about? All right, let's go to my subscriptions. We'll go to Mike Maloney. Where am I? Oh, here's my. If I hit the subscription button, duh. So here, this is the guy who comes across as a Austrian, gold lining up for knockout blows to fiat currencies. The problem is he's not Austrian. He doesn't really know what it is. He doesn't really have the background. Silver to outperform gold. So he sounds good, but that's not what's going to happen. Why I believe gold and silver. So you can see he's captivating, but when you listen to him, he really that part of him I get, and he knows, but he can't explain it, and he just sounds like an idiot when he does talk. So yes, I did like him at first. Then as I'm listening to him, I'm analyzing him, and I'm going, well, this guy's Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So that's the guy you're talking about, Bobby. And really, so that's the problem. So when you meet a guy in the hot tub or at poker or anywhere, it's their perception of the truth or what they believe has holes in it. And there's been changes made, which they don't comprehend. They listen, they hear something that happened a year ago, but they don't keep up with it. Changes are made, but they don't keep up with it. And they are like, boom. So they'll go, oh, I heard Peter's shift and whatever he said, okay, fine. And so I'm going to go with Peter Schiff because he's a salesman for gold. He sells gold. He obviously knows what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to sell his gold. And that's what I told the guys, that he's a salesman. I go, I'm an analyst. There's a big difference. I understand what I'm talking about. And there's no incentive for me to get you to buy gold and silver because I don't make a nickel out of it. It's to protect you because that's what I want to do is my good deed. So when you hear a guy like this, then what do? Do you try to change perception and truth, which is what I normally do? I go, well, the BRICS countries and gold's going up. Well, no, JP Morgan keeps it down. Now, how do you try to explain to the guy, well, JP Morgan is getting out of it because they're going to get stuck owing trillions of dollars in derivatives that are never going to go up because they're betting the price to go down, and the price is not going down on gold. You can see it went from 17 to 1950. So you're getting old data. You're not up to date. But when he starts laughing and he doesn't want to listen, and he's like, gold won't go up because of JP Morgan. He thinks he knows, right? JP Morgan keeps it down, which he was right 2 years ago, but he's not right now. But he won't listen to the change that's take place. So I can't change his perception because he's got this old perception that he refuses to budge with because I'm not Peter Schiff. I'm the unknown. There was a movie called The Color of Money, Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise is this fantastic poker player or pool player. And Paul Newman is playing his old role of the hustler. Very stupid movie, I thought. Should have been done much better. Good concept, but the way they did it was so stupid. Anyway, so Paul Newman says, I'm the unknown in the beginning of the movie. He says, you don't know. Like he wants to play him for $500 a game. And Mary Master Antonio, whatever the fuck her name is sitting there. And Paul Newman says, well, you don't know what to do, but you should know what to do. I'm the unknown in the room, but you should know me. You should have taken the bet because that guy's going to beat anybody. And, he says, I'm the unknown. And then he says, Tom Cruise should be the unknown. If he came in unknown, everybody would play him and he'd kick everybody's ass. And that's what I am right now to these guys in the hot tub and a lot of guys, the guys at work. I'm the unknown. And instead of listening to me going, yeah, that makes sense, they don't listen to me because they don't know my background. They don't know I'm the professor. They don't know even if they know I got a master's in Austrian economics, it doesn't, because they have masters and they don't know shit. So they assume, well, big deal. You don't know anything. You got a master's, which pisses me off. I'm going, no, I understand this perfectly. Enough to teach it, enough to make sense, enough to know exactly what's going on, enough to smell a rat when I see Peter Schiff or this Maloney or this Rickards or this Rick Rule or any of these idiots. I'm enough to know, get away from ETFs, get away from paper. You want physical. I'm enough to know that the price is low because it's being fixed. And if we were at a regular physical price, the real price, that's where I give you 50,000. I don't look at the COMEX price thinking that it's physical. When JP Morgan and the other banks are selling millions of ounces of, let's say, silver, and there isn't even that much on the planet, they're selling it, lowering the price. So how is that the real price of physical silver, for example? How are you getting 24? Because they're shorting millions of ounces that they don't have. How everybody lets this go, because in this country, there is no laws. The guilty are not punished. JP Morgan runs the politicians, can do what they want. So they say, well, we're gonna manipulate and fix gold, and we don't care, and you're not going to do anything because we run you, and you're not going to prosecute us. You might slap us on the wrist, which they did, and make them pay a fine, just like what they did with Madoff, where JP Morgan was in on that. JP Morgan's in on all the corrupt stuff. They're very corrupt because they know they can't get, there won't be a penalty, right? They're not going to the hangman because they're in charge of the courts and the laws. Are JP Morgan's in charge of them. So nobody's got the balls to stand up to JP Morgan and put them in jail because they're probably run by the Russian mafia. It would be my guess. So they're keeping it down, which is starting to make more and more sense that the Russian mafia runs them. Because if you think about it, who wants to buy gold? Russia and Chinese. So they're telling them, you keep the price down. And they keep the price down and they keep buying. And Russia's bought 20,000 tons and China's 40,000 tons. And now they're like going, okay, our countries are fucked. Russia, we're paying for this war, which we can't afford. China, we got fucked with the housing market. You know what? Okay, now it's time. We need the price to go up. And so now they're getting out of, now you can see the price going, even the COMEX price going to 1950. But that is nowhere anything to do with the real physical price. Demand is here. The price is here. So how is that the actual physical price? It's not. Yet you'll hear the Maloneys and the Peter Schiffs and all these fucking idiots go, well, that's the physical price. That's why I say the derivative, it is the physical price, which it's not. They're not smart enough to understand the physical price is based on supply and demand, and demand's up here and supply's down there, and price is down here and the physical's here. They're not smart enough to understand what it even is because they're not economists. So they sit there. Peter Schiff's nothing but a salesman, and this Maloney, is fucking looking at his charts. He kind of understands it, but he doesn't understand economics. And then none of these other guys understand it, except for my guys in Europe who are actually economists / bankers who understand it. So when they talk, I go, yes, they get it. How much physical do you own? And that's why they say, I don't even know how to evaluate it. It's so high. I don't want to give a price of 30,000, 50,000, but they go, it's going to be very high. Just buy it. You'll be fine. And that's really so that's why I listen to them. And I really don't want to listen to these other idiots, but then they'll put that headline in, right? So I'm going, okay, let's listen to how they're getting to their headline. And, then I start listening to them and go, these guys are fucking idiots, or they're talking derivatives or COMEX. None of them are talking about COMEX breaking up. None of them are talking about a gold standard ruble yuan for BRICS countries where they're going to back their money by gold. None of them are talking the petrodollar's gone. None of them are talking that. So the US dollar will be there. You can't print it to death. And that's where you find out they're fake. They're not Austrians. They're Keynesians, which means they're communists, which means they don't get, you can't just keep printing. So I'm at that level. Talking to idiots in the hot tub, don't even understand any of it. They listen to Peter Schiff. They don't even know they shouldn't listen to Peter Schiff. They listen to Peter Schiff. He's an economist. No, he's not. He's a salesman trying to sell gold. So of course he's going to paint it, but he doesn't understand it. He thinks paper gold. Doesn't understand there's a difference. Only the English and me understand paper and physical, right? We understand there's two different things. We understand the physical with all the gold standards coming out and the dollar going away as the fat lady. We understand where gold's headed. So you can be in your little Bitcoin. Oh, it's up to 22,000 now. I own a piece of crap that's now worth 22,000. I don't know why, and I don't know where it's going. It has no value. It's not money, and it's not gold. So why do I want to own it? Well, I don't know. Because it goes up. That's the answer. So what do I do? I'm in the hot tub with this idiot who his perception of reality is he has no clue. He doesn't understand any of it. He's got to listen to Peter Schiff, but his guy he listens to is an idiot. So what do I do? And how do I not get frustrated with his perception of truth and other people's perception of truth? So my point of view is I want to help these people. Obviously, they're clueless. This one, I wasn't even really talking to him. I was talking to this other guy. Looks like a nice guy. we're talking a little, how are you prepared for the shit hitting the fan in the economy? And they'll look at me, oh, is the shit hitting the fan? And you're just like, oh my God, these people are so fucking stupid and so lost. It's unbelievable how stupid people are. They bury their head in the sand. They just, we'll go on our vacation and we'll do this as if nothing's going to change. You sit there and you're like, oh my God, these people are fucking morons. They get what they deserve. They are getting made off, and let them get made off, right? That's about all you can do, is do that. So if you told the Madoff people that it's impossible to get it right every time and go 100% and give you a 20% return, they'd look at you going, yeah, but I'm making it. Look, he's been doing it. The SEC's been auditing him. Not aware the SEC's in bed with the Madoff backers, the 4 rich guys and the rich Austrian women who are controlling the Ponzi scheme. And then they're paying off the SEC and JP Morgan. So you think it's Madoff. He's not even involved with it. He's just the figurehead. And you're not putting 2 and 2 together. So you just go, well, Madoff, the SEC's checked him out, assuming the SEC is on the level. So I'm going to invest in Madoff. And I come around saying, don't invest in Madoff. It's a scam. He can't possibly do what he can do. It's like somebody in my profession hitting 100% on the football games. You can't do it. I can go 4-0 Sunday, but then I didn't go 6-0 the first week. I missed Tampa Bay, and then Buffalo didn't cover, but I bet very small on Buffalo to beat Miami's third-string quarterback. But I had everything else, so that's okay. I did pick a loser, but that's what's going to happen in reality. I'm going to pick a loser. Yes, I know it's hard to believe the professor missing a game, but it happens. Madoff cannot go 100% and cannot give you a 20% return. It's fucking impossible. So therefore, if you tell people not to be in Madoff, they're going to say, but look at the returns I'm getting. And you say it's impossible. Then when he finally gets caught, what do? Walk up to these people going, I told you it was fake. Or do I try to warn you before you get in it? Like I tried to warn my brother-in-law, going, oh, I'm going to get these 15% returns when it was like 3%. And I'm saying, without even knowing what it is, I go, it's impossible. It's too good to be true. It is. The hot woman wants sex with you. She doesn't know you. Something's up. There's a reason she wants sex with you. It's probably about money. That's what it is. Hot women just don't come up to you and want sex with you for no reason. That doesn't work. Unless you're Bobby and they just want to say they slept with a baseball player. Okay, we get that, Bobby. We understand that. But most normal people, hot girls don't walk up to you saying, I want to have sex with you. Only, I had sex with Tom Cruise. I had sex with LeBron. I had sex with the ball player. I had sex with Brad Pitt. So they can tell their friends. Otherwise, the average Joe, it's, okay, that's going to be $500 or whatever their rate is, or something, or they'll try blackmailing. I'll tell your wife. That's why when you get that question by a hot girl and she says, are you married? It's because she wants to blackmail you and tell your wife. So sometimes I play around and go, yeah, I'm married, and I'm not married. So it's like, we go from there. But that's my point. So if it's too good to be true, it is. So what do you try to warn the Madoff people about Madoff, but nobody listens. They're all intoxicated because their perception of the truth and reality is so fucked up. So that's what we have here. These people are clueless. They're clueless what inflation is. They just listen. They don't know who to listen to. So they'll listen to Peter Schiff, or they'll listen to CNBC or whatever it is. That's who they're listening to. And that's the problem. So they listen to these idiots. Or again, how do you find me who's going to be honest and truthful and explain it to you when most people aren't like me? They're out for a buck and they're trying to just tell you what you want to hear, and off you go, which is most of these idiots on YouTube selling you oh, gold will never go up, buy stocks and bonds, da 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 da. All these financial planners. Oh, we don't understand the difference between physical gold and derivative gold. We think it's all the same. So you're getting a bunch of idiots, and that's the problem. You have to be educated that there's two different things. As soon as you hear a guy say derivative gold price and they don't say physical, is when you run and leave because they don't know what they're talking about. They're assuming it's the same, and it isn't. This one guy I was watching, they even brought up the Russian exchange, that it's going to be, oh, this is in another video where they were talking about the Russian physical exchange to get an actual physical price on gold. And even the guy, like, didn't get it. He was, well, maybe that'll happen. No, it is happening because the Russian mafia wants it. These are idiots that don't understand anything about anything. Look, if Russia and China want to have the gold price going up, it's going up. They are not, it's all controlled by the same person, with George Soros, the the German guy, all the Nazis, all the Russian mafia. They're all the ones controlling everything, right? They all think there'll be one digital dollar, digital central bank digital currency. That's bullshit. You can't have one. You got to have one for each country because there's different countries. So you think the guys in Germany are going to listen to the guys in Russia? No. Then you got the BRICS countries over here. Oh, there's going to be two different dollars? No, because the competition, nobody will be in the US dollar. They'll all go to the BRICS because it's backed by gold, which will force the US dollar to be backed by gold because nobody's going to want it. Simple as that. Now, can we get the BRICS currencies? The question, because we're not in BRICS. So if I go to Romania and maybe they're in BRICS, can I go buy BRICS currency backed by gold? Possibly. Maybe that's how we'll do it. As the US dollar crumbles, and then the US dollar is going to have to be backed by gold. Any way you look at it, the new currency will be backed by gold, or this new physical exchange getting the proper physical price of gold. Either way, gold's going through the roof, and it's not going to go to 2,500. It'll go to 25,000, and silver right behind it. So if you carry that thought out, and that is very much reality, we know about the debt. We know about the inflation, which is not even being calculated properly. It's being calculated on prices, not on money supply. As they print and print and print to pay their debt off, you don't understand. As you print more, the value of your dollar went down. So if you owe $10 billion and you print 10 billion, the value of the 10 billion is down to 9 billion. So you got to print 11 to get to your 10, because as you printed it out, the value of the dollar drops. So as the value of the dollar drops, you need to print more. And the more you print, the less it's worth. And there's nothing you can do. And raising interest rates to 5% when inflation's 20 isn't really going to help you. And you can't conveniently leave things out. Oh, wait, shit, cars went up a lot. Let's leave them off inflation. And Oreo cookies went up 20%. Let's leave them off inflation. Well, let's see what didn't really go up a lot. That's what that's how we'll figure out inflation. So it's all a game. It's all bullshit. But you got to understand that. So when you meet idiots, truth and perception is the key. So the first thing you have to do, as the professor would do in Money Heist, you've got to understand your enemy and the perception they are coming at you with. Then you can do your counter moves. So if I move my pawn here, he's going to do this. And if he does that, then I got to make this move with my bishop. And then I got to move my queen and my rook. But wait, if he doesn't do this, then I got to move my rook first and then my queen and then move my king out. And so I've got to do this based on what he does. And if he doesn't, he does something else, I got to make these counter moves. So I got to have plan Bs and plan Cs. So when you go to talk to somebody, what you got to realize is out of 1,000,000 people, 5 might understand what the hell you're really talking about, right? Maybe 5, maybe. Or of the 5, 3 of them are just going to go along with you because they're so clueless, but they don't want to look clueless. They'll just go, oh, okay. They'll just nod and agree with you because they don't even understand what's going on. So when I'm at work, when I was working and I would say buy gold or silver, these guys are all freaking out, except for the one guy who understood me and went and bought $100,000 worth of gold. He got me. He didn't even get me. He just trusted that if I say it and I own gold, that he's going to do what I do, because he really doesn't know, but he knows I know. He was smart. He opened his mind, but I can't find these people. So when I tell people in the hot tub, you better buy gold, they laugh. Oh, well, gold doesn't go up. Look, it's been 50 years, it doesn't go up. It'll never go up. Oh, and it's the same thing as in the 1970s and 80s is happening now. Or we look at 2008, that's what's going to happen because that was derivative market. And now we have all this huge debt and we got the money going to zero, which is all new. It's all new players, right? It's now Russell Wilson on Denver. Well, wait, we can't still look at the Seattle facts. We got to look at Russell Wilson on Denver, or we can't look at New England because Brady's not there. We now have to have a Brady Tampa Bay stat. They're still looking at, well, look what happened in 2008, and they're not looking at the debt. They're not looking at the BRICS countries. All this shit they're not looking at. So when I go and I try to explain it, their perception is 2008. They don't even know what the BRICS countries are. If I say BRICS countries, these guys are close. So now I think I'm going to have fun with these morons, and I'm going to say, what do you think of the BRICS countries? And if they don't have a clue, I'm not even going to go to gold. So it's almost like I'm going to be playing the game now. I'm going to be the Ric Flair of the hot tub, and I'm going to woo around the hot tub and figure for everybody by saying, what do you think of the debt? What do you think of the BRICS countries? What do you think of they're not on the petrodollar more, that Saudi Arabia is now with China? And just see if they get it. And if they don't even get that, I'm not going to go gold on them. I'm going to say, well, good luck. But when gold collapses, when the dollar collapses, don't come to me. And like I said, I told you the way to figure out if your financial planner has a brain in his head, which I would say 99% are clueless, or they're Keynesians or monetarists, which are Keynesians, which are communists, which are going to tell you 60% stock, 40% bonds, because they have no clue. That's assuming the dollar doesn't collapse. That's assuming there's no BRICS countries. All that's what it's assuming, that we don't have debt. But we have all that, so you can't go with the same playbook. And so now what I tell you is go ask your financial planner, what is he? Are you a Keynesian or an Austrian? Which you probably, what kind of economics do you understand? And see if he even understands there's Keynesians, monetarists, which are Keynesians, or Austrians, which he probably won't. Then you say, what should I, so that's the first question. And then if he does say, well, tell me about the invisible hand. If he says he's Austrian, he would know invisible hand and Adam Smith, like I teach you guys. If he doesn't know the basics, those are the basics, Say's law and gold. If he doesn't get that, he's not going to get gold. And that's the end of the conversation. So if he doesn't know, you're Austrian, right? So the first thing you learn about what kind of economics is that you need to know there's two kinds: Keynesians, monetarists, and Austrians. One's communist, where the government runs everything, and one's freedom. So if you don't even know that, the conversation's over. That's the first thing to learn. And that's what everybody should learn, instead of listening to Peter Schiff and other morons who don't have a fucking clue about gold, the debt, the BRICS countries, and all that shit. If you don't even understand that, you shouldn't even, then the conversation's over. It's like talking to somebody about football. Oh, who do you like, Cincinnati or KC? And they say, well, I like the Redskins. I mean, it's like, you don't have a clue. Well, I like Kansas City. Don't they have Mahomes? Well, he's injured. Oh, really? That's about what you're dealing with. You're dealing with idiots. And it's very hard for people of our IQ. I got a 160. It's very hard for us who understand, who analyze, to understand and figure out things, to talk to these idiots. But we have to be smarter at talking them, because it gets frustrating if we just assume they know what's going on, which is my fault. I assume they know what they're doing or what they know, and they don't. So I have to ask the first question, which is, what type of economics do you follow? Which they won't answer, because none of them would know it. Only what you guys and maybe 100 people know Austrian economics and really know it, not just say they know it, but really understand it. Just my class here is about all that really gets it. So you're going to be the survivors on the Titanic, because you're in the lifeboats now full of gold going, this is okay. Whatever happens, we're going to be fine. That's the real key to it. But so you're going to ask, what do you think of the BRICS countries? And get an answer, see if they even know about it. If they don't even know about it, then they're not going to know about gold. And if they think that JP Morgan's controlling gold, they don't know they're not anymore, and they don't know the BRICS countries are, and the Russian mafia is. So if they don't understand the BRICS countries or the petrodollar or things like that. Now the petrodollar's gone, right? It's now the yuan dollar. It might not be 100% officially out there, but it's basically signed and basically done deal. But they might not know it's a done deal. So you got to go with the BRICS countries. What do you think of the BRICS countries? Now, people like you guys, like me, we know all about it. It's Russia, China, and all these countries getting out of the dollar. They don't want to be sanctioned. They're tired of these high interest rates, so they're getting out of it, which is what's going to make gold go higher, because they can't compete unless they go to gold. And it's not small countries. It's India, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, South Africa, Brazil, Argentina. These are not small third world countries like Zimbabwe. Now, even Zimbabwe knows with the inflation, they came out with gold dollars, because they know they didn't come out with Bitcoin. They came out with gold, saying, well, we need to come out with gold to help our people survive, because the dollars were shit. So keep that in mind. Those are the questions you need to ask. But you need to assume. So when I go into the hot tub tonight, I need to assume they're all idiots. They have no fucking clue what's going on, what's really happening, and all that stuff. You just assume they have no idea. So to try to explain gold to them is about the same as trying to explain Madoff is a Ponzi scheme. It's the same thing. You can't really explain it. They won't get it. So the people who are caught in the Ponzi scheme are just too stupid to explain to. You can tell them, look at the guy in Boston trying to explain to the SEC about that it's a Ponzi scheme, and he couldn't explain it because they were in on it, and they were the scammers. So you're telling the scammers it's a scam. You go, yeah, they're already in on it. They know it's a scam, fella. So you're barking up the wrong tree. But that's the problem. You can't tell anybody gold's going up. You can tell them, but they won't listen, because they're all idiots. They don't understand the concept. And then they're going to say, but it hasn't gone up before. So therefore, why is it going to go up now? And you can say BRICS countries, and they don't understand it. The Russians and Chinese are coming out the dollar backed by gold. They won't understand it. Well, no, they're different. They won't do it. The U.S. has the currency. They'll always have the currency. No, they're inflating it on purpose. They're printing it to zero. It's happening now. It's got a few months left, not a few years, but they won't understand it. So the perception of the truth by these idiots is unchangeable. You cannot make the change for them to believe it or understand it. They won't. Therefore, what the fuck do you do? And then to get frustrated, you can't, because you got to go in realizing it's like talking to a dog. The dog's not going to understand gold. And basically, that's how you got to treat these guys. So I almost need to pet them and say, good boy, good girl, and pat them on the back and just laugh at them, because that's about what That's about what I'm dealing with are dogs, right? I'm not dealing with intelligent people who understand what's going on. I'm dealing with dogs. Oh, I know if Peter Schiff rings the bell and fills my bowl with food, I'm going to eat it. So if Peter Schiff says this and that, I'm just going to believe him. And that gets back to who do you trust, and how do you trust the people? And it's all based on explanation, and it's based on me giving you Frisco to Dallas and Frisco beats Dallas. Oh, wait, shit. He said it. It happened. I can see the way his method is that he knows what he's doing, and there's the result. Oh, he took Cincy over Buffalo, and everybody was on Buffalo. The spread went to 6. He stuck by his grounds. He said Cincy and Joe Burrow, and guess what happened? Cincy and Joe Burrow won. So he says things that come true. I can trust him. Peter Schiff, what does he say that comes true? Nothing. He doesn't have a clue, and he can't explain it, and he doesn't know the difference between derivative gold and physical. So because he won't say that, I can't trust him. Bobby, you're back. You got pet them on the head and say you're going to be a good boy and buy gold, then give them a biscuit when they buy. Well, no, because they're not going to buy. That's the point. They're dogs. So you can pet them on the head and say, good boy, good girl. And that's how you have to treat them. They don't have a brain to buy gold. So you're not going to send a dog to the coin store to buy gold because they don't know to buy it. They can't make that. They can't assume or figure that out. So what happens is you pat them on that head and say, well, Madoff's a scam, but you're too stupid to figure that out because you like the 20% return. So therefore, there's nothing I can say to get you off of it, even though I know it's a scam and a Ponzi scheme, just like I know to buy gold and silver because that's what's going to save you as this goes to zero. So I'm sure this is going to zero, and I'm sure your only way out is gold and silver. But I can't hit the switch to make you listen. I can explain it only if you'll listen to me, which you won't because you listen to Peter Schiff or these idiots or this Mike Maloney who don't understand the difference between derivative gold and physical gold. I'm talking physical golds going up through the roof when the Russia Chinas are coming out with the dollar, which is backed by gold, forcing the U.S. to come out with dollar backed by gold, even if it's digital dollar backed by gold, which is the only way anybody's going to go onto the digital dollar. It's got to be backed by gold. But if it's the U.S., do you really trust that they're actually backing it by gold? No. Not that you really can trust the Russians or the Chinese, but it should say gold on it. You know, it should say somewhere on the bill, you know, backed by, you know, gold standard, gold certificate. It should say gold certificate somewhere, either up here or in the back. It's got to say gold certificate, redeemable for gold at the bank. Then you buy it. Otherwise, you can't. And then you trust it. And you take $10, say, I want gold for it. And you go to Comerica or Chase and you say, give me my gold. And they better come out with gold. Then you can trust it. If they don't come out with gold, then it's all a Ponzi scheme and you just don't trust it anymore. But that's what you basically do. So you ask your financial planner if he knows what kind of economics, if he knows about Briggs, if he knows about Adam Smith and the invisible hand, if he understands physical gold, if he even advises you in gold and you talk to him like, what's inflation? Maybe that's a good starter question. Well, what do you think of this inflation? And then say, well, what is inflation? I'm not sure. And he'll say, well, price is going up. Then you simply get up and leave. Say, you don't know. That's not what it is. I know what it is. It's fucking the money over. It's printing the money, devaluing it is what inflation is. So if they can't answer that question, then I'll say, you know, I'm just curious, what's inflation? And even the guy in the pool, or you know, these morons that I'm talking to that are frustrating me, just basically like, what's inflation? And they'll say prices, and you, okay, that's the end of our conversation. You're clueless. Good luck. And when you're homeless and penniless, don't come knocking on my door, because my door is not open to people who are rude and disrespectful to me. That's why I don't understand why they are rude and disrespectful to me, You don't know who I am. Well, the first thing you should do is know who I am. Now, when I walk into my poker room at MGM and I'm at a table where people actually know who I am, you know what they say? He'll go to his buddy. That's the best player in the room. And the guy who sat down, who doesn't know this, doesn't know. But the guy who knows me says that's the best player in the room. So they know I'm the best player in the room, but you don't know me. And the point is, so the guy who sits down who doesn't know me, what does he think? He's got to understand who I am. If you don't know who I am, and we'll go back to the color of money, that's the beauty of it. If I'm the unknown, you're fucked. I'm the unknown economist, and if I'm the unknown poker player, you're fucked. But if the guy next to him, and this happened to me, says he's the best player in the room, I'm like, oh, why are you telling him that? I don't want him to know that information. But obviously it's his friend, and he wants his friend to know that information. So, maybe I'll play a little bit, and then I get up and go to another table because I don't want to be exposed as the best player in the room. Bobby, people are going to walk in the gym and see the professor drawing those motherfuckers while yelling at him. Didn't I tell you to buy gold and silver? No, see, that's the beauty of me. I won't say that. I'll just know it, and I'll just smile, and I'll have this happy tune going. What island am I going to buy? Where's me and Bobby? We're going to get on an island with Phil. Where are we going? Which island? And then bring the girls. I mean, that's basically what I'm going to do is just smile. And I'm not going to stick it to them and say, I told you. There are a few people I do want to say that to, but I'm right now waiting for Bitcoin to go zero, and then I can kind of go. I'm going into the Toyota dealer to tell the sales manager, nice place staying in that Bitcoin. Who think that's going to stick? See, everybody doesn't understand when changes happen. Russell Wilson goes to Denver, then you can't use the Seattle trends. But the problem with these people are they don't know when Russell Wilson gets traded, right? They're not listening. Oh, I guess there's a storm coming. My Spectrum saying we're doing potential outages. If I lose power, call my utility. Well, that's very nice. Thank you. But I was hoping it was my Russian girlfriend. I didn't hear from him this morning. It always bothers me. Although I know my Ukrainian one probably lost power, and the Russian one, when she goes to work, they won't allow her to text me, only her daughter when she's at work. So I know when she's working. So don't worry too much. Although the Ukraine one I worry about because she's in the middle of a war, and I just want to make sure she's alive. But I usually can go into hers here, and I can go into her name's Jenna, but she says call me Chena. So I can go in and I see she's been last on at 12:25 today. So I'm wondering why she didn't text me, but she might have been able to look into her phone. But she hasn't, she didn't make my text go to blue. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. She read my text last night at 12 a.m., but at 9:30 I texted her. She hasn't read those yet, even though she's been on at 12:25, unless I'm reading that wrong. My other one was on at 2 o'clock, so she was just on, but she, for some reason, the WhatsApp don't go blue when she looks at me. I don't understand that. Well, some of them, I guess when they're red, I don't know. If you just go on WhatsApp, maybe it doesn't turn the messages to blue or whatever. Anyway, that would be a great, hilarious sight to see. I assume you're talking about our island or Bitcoin going to zero. I assume you're talking one of the two. See, so when Tom Brady goes from New England to Tampa, you've got to understand he went from New England to Tampa. Things have changed. I can't use New England trends if I even use trends. And now I got to make new trends for Tampa. and you've got to understand Brady Team's teams. Well, these people don't even understand BRICS and that the gold, they're coming out with a gold standard money because they know they can't compete without it, and nobody trusts anybody. The Russians and Chinese don't trust each other, so they have to have a dollar backed by gold so they can trust it, and they have all the gold. They got 60,000 tons of gold between China and Russia, and India is not far behind. They probably have 10,000 tons. And Saudi Arabia and South America has Iran's up their ass, and Iran's into it. So with all those countries, they probably got 70, 80 tons, 1,000 tons of gold, which doesn't leave a whole lot left. So that's really what you need. So you need to understand that. Most people are clueless about it. They're not looking at it, or they don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear bad news, so I won't go on. Do they even know to go on YouTube and look at these places? Probably not. So you've got to understand that you've got to hear it. You're not going to hear it on CNN and CNBC and Fox. They're not going to tell you this shit. Right? They're barely telling you about Russia-Ukraine war still, but they're not going to tell you about gold and the BRICS countries. I mean, are we ever seeing the BRICS countries on Fox or CNBC? I can't stand watching them because they're all communists and it's all bullshit lies. They have Cougarans up their ass. Well, they make them, so they definitely do. Austria's got the Philharmonics. The Brits have their gold, and Russia does make, and China do make their own gold, but it doesn't leave. They don't. You very rarely find it. Now, I have seen some Russian and Chinese gold at my gold store, but I don't buy. I tend to not buy it because I with all the sanctions, I don't know if I'll be able to spend it. So I stick with U.S. and Maple Leafs and Cougarans mostly. And like I said, I got that one Philharmonic, which is pretty cool, Bobby. I got to go get that for you, but you'll like that one. It's a nice change for you because you like the different silvers, so you can get this in silver. They just better keep my innocent kangaroos far away from their ass. Keep in mind, those are Australian, not South African, right? So the Cougarans, so the deers are South African. The kangaroos are Australian. So keep that in mind. There's about 6 or 7 countries that are legally licensed to print. Austria with the Philharmonic. Russia does but never leaves Russia. And China very rarely leaves China. I think it's a panda bear that has it. Now, I went Saturday to my Chinese. Sunday was Chinese New Year. It's the year of the rabbit. So maybe we can get a year of the rabbit. When I go to my store, I'll see if they have any Chinese year of the rabbits because I like rabbits. They're very lucky. So I'll see if I can pick up some rabbits for you, Bobby. Or you can call and do it. But let me see if they have any because those would be cool silver to have a rabbit. I'd sleep better with rabbits than the kangaroos even. So I think to clear up matters, and you can see how my brain works and how I analyze. That's what we have is we're dealing in false perceptions. People, JP Morgan, it's Peter Schiff, it's my perception. Who am I? That's what we're dealing with. So people look at me, they don't know who I am. They don't know I'm the best player in the room in poker, and they don't know I'm a top Austrian economist. So people look at me, they don't take the time to learn me. They don't take the time to ask about me. You guys, I'm sure didn't get me the first one, but you keep coming back, Bobby and Phil and Nick, who it took a while, but you were smart enough to listen and go, what does this guy have his head up his ass, or does he know what he's talking about? And the more I talk, the more you realize that I know what I'm talking about. And sometimes my head's up my ass, but usually I know what I'm talking about. And so you're smart enough to realize this is the guy with the answer that we're looking. He is the Holy Grail. This is what I've been looking for, and I found it. And you're smart enough to realize that, and I give you credit. And then when you try, like Bobby, he tries to tell his family to buy silver and they tell him to fuck off. They don't believe him. So he needs to change the family's perception. So I want you to work on that as homework, Bobby. I need you to change your family's perception to buy silver. And then you'll see how hard it is. And then I want your notes, and that's your test. And I want to see how you change your family's perception, because if anybody here tries to tell their friends and family to buy silver, they look at you like your head's up your ass. You're an idiot. I'll keep my money in money. They don't understand that this goes to zero. They are so arrogant that they think that they trust the government, and they don't understand that the dollar will go to zero because it's not backed by anything. They're just printing and printing and printing. The debt's huge. The more they raise the interest rate, the more the debt is. The more the debt is, how do you pay off the debt? You print more money, which makes more inflation, which makes the value of the dollar go to zero. And then when people don't want the dollar and they go to the grocery store and buy toilet paper and tuna, instead of owning the dollar, when people don't want the dollar anymore and they're getting rid of it, that's the end. That's the hyperinflation. That's Germany, right? You're going to wallpaper your thing. When you start seeing $100,000 US bills, run, because that signifies the end. They don't make ones and fives anymore. Now it's a $50,000 bill. And whenever you see that, it's all over. The game's over, right? It's it. They've waved the white flag. That's the end of it. Keep your eye on Euro and Japanese and India. All their dollars are crashing. They're all going bankrupt, and they all want gold value to go up. And believe me, you think JP Morgan is so strong and the U.S. government is so strong. Brady's not on New England anymore. So no, they're not. The Russians and Chinese and the Indians own all the fucking gold. They're in control, because that is the rule. That's the golden rule. He with the gold rules. And that's what it is. So they're going to sit there and they can buy things with their gold. And the U.S. can't, because they don't own it. And they can print. All they can do is print this. And then this eventually goes to this. So this is going to go to this, which is going to go to this, which is going to go to this. And that's what's going to happen. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. We don't know the exact time, but it's pretty close to what's going to happen pretty soon. We think the summer, but we don't know. Could be like I said, let's check in at my birthday, March 7th, and we will figure it in. And I will take gold and silver as birthday presents. Not a problem. So that's what you have, but that's the reality, not the perception. And these idiots in the hot tub, they should never be disrespectful. First of all, that's the first thing. And then those are the people you really go after when the gold goes through the roof, and you really put the knife in them and going, yeah, I remember you told me to fuck off. Well, I'm telling you to fuck off. Good luck, fellow. With how much money do you have now? How's your Bitcoin doing at zero? They just better keep my innocent kangaroo. Okay. Phil, they are so desperate. They are talking about making $1 trillion coin. Don't ask me details, but it is in the news. $1 trillion coin. Well, I heard that before, to pay off the debt. If you just made a coin, you would take the coin to pay off the debt. Now, I don't know if that's what you're talking about or something. That just came out. But to pay off the debt, all you need is gold to go up. But then if you do, they don't have any gold to make any money and then the gold that the other countries have, China, Russia, India, South Africa would force it way up, and then it would admit that the U.S. dollar sucks, which we already know, but they don't want everybody to know it. So they're not done buying gold themselves. And that's really the problem. So if you're not smart enough to buy gold because you don't think it's going to go anywhere, because you don't understand the difference between derivative gold and real physical gold. See, that's the first step of understanding the price fixing derivative gold is not real. So when Buffalo didn't cover the 13 against Miami and they win 34-31, that wasn't real. That wasn't a real game. But then when Cincinnati beats them 27-10, that was a real game. So you can see Buffalo, when they really tried, sucked, and Cincinnati, when they really play, are a lot better than these teams. So when Cincy plays and you don't fix the game, you see what happens. Frisco beats Dallas when they play. Philly, when they're allowed to play, kills the Giants. And Kansas City still fixed with the whopping 7-point win over Jacksonville. But Mahomes got injured. See, that's the other thing. You got to realize Mahomes gets injured in the first quarter in the game, and they still win 27-20. He limped around. I don't see him limping around this week. He should be on crutches, but let's say he plays. How long is the shot gonna be in his system, Bobby? What, a quarter? And by the second half, the shot's gone. He's gonna feel his ankle. So he's a 1/2 quarterback at most. So you got to plan that into your bet. Phil, yes, that's what I was talking about, the debt related. Yeah, I saw that like a year or two ago, where they were going to come out with this, and then they could put it on their balance sheet and say, the debt's gone. But they keep printing the debt, and now the debt is other countries. Every country has U.S. dollar, and now they're pushing it back, and nobody's buying the treasuries. So everybody was buying the treasuries. Nobody's buying it anymore, and they're dumping it all back into the U.S., which is going to cause huge inflation, because once it's back in the U.S., that really makes this shrink. This will be like, once all that comes back in, this is your value of the dollar from here to, now it's going to be like zero almost. It'll be like 1 cent, because nobody else wants the fat, ugly girl. They all want the pretty gold. And once Bobby gets something, he'll know what I'm talking about. Bobby, you got to buy a 1/4 ounce or something. Oh, Jesus Christ, you're killing me. If you are turned on by silver and you don't have any gold, wait till you get gold. Yeah, they're talking about it again. So this is brand new. Well, see, but they won't raise gold. All they got to do is make gold 50,000 an ounce. And if you have 8,000 tons of it, which they say they do, but we all know they don't, that would make your debt go away, because then 8,000 tons times 40,000 an ounce is a $1 trillion number. You can't even figure it, because it's 32,000 ounces in a ton. So if you try to do 32,000 ounces times 8,000 tons, it doesn't compute on a computer. It's too many zeros right there. So maybe you can do 32 times 8,000 is what? 40 times 8 is 320 billion. Now we got to add what? 3 zeros to that. So I don't even know what number that is. That's how many ounces of gold you would have. Well, then just make gold 20,000 an ounce. You've solved your debt problem, because then you use the gold to pay the debt off. But if you don't have any gold, it doesn't matter what price you submit it at. You don't have it. But it's amazing when you say, how much gold is the U.S.? And we all know the answer is zero. They'll keep with that 8,000 tons. And then this Rickards on YouTube will say 8,000 tons. And China and Russia doesn't have any. But the guy in the UK, my buddy, will sit there and say they got 40,000 tons China and 20,000 tons Russia. India is probably getting close to 5,000-6,000 tons, and South Africa, and now Iran and Saudi Arabia are probably a couple thousand tons. So, but that's not recorded, and it's not all central bank. A lot of it's private. The oligarchs, Putin. Well, Putin's got it in his fucking in his vault, in his underground hideout. He probably has 5,000 tons of gold, knowing the Russians. So it's not in the central bank. You think Putin's going to trust the central bank? So a lot of the gold is not on the official central bank's books. Doesn't mean they don't have. And according to what my guy says, China never sells gold. It never leaves, although that's a lie because I did see it at our coin store. I have seen some China gold. It's a panda. So a couple get out, but those are people that probably lived in China, bought some gold, brought it home, and that. Now, when gold and silver do go down, it's people desperately needing money to get, eat and pay bills who are giving the gold back, but that's so far and few, although I am noticing it more at the gold store. And I'll tell them, I will pull them aside and say, you don't understand, gold's going to 50,000 an ounce, don't sell it. Or silver's going to 2,000 an ounce, don't sell it now and get $24 an ounce for it. Unless it's just, this is do or die, your back's against the wall, you need to sell your silver. Otherwise, I'm sitting there going, because they're only going to get spot. They're only going to get $24 for their silver. Yes, sterling silver, silverware, you'll get the $24 an ounce also because they just melt it down into coins anyway. So you must understand that you're going to get 2,000 an ounce again because these people are ignorant. They don't know it's going to go to the roof. They don't know bricks. They don't know gold standards. So they just sit there and go, well, silver never goes up. We need money. We'll sell our silver. And these guys loving it because they pay $24 spot and then sell it back, depending on what it is, for 28 or 35. So they make their money because they buy it on spot. So when they buy gold for 1940 right now, they sell it for 2,100. So they'll say, we only make $5. I go, that's when you buy it from the mint, not when you buy it from Uncle Steve, who comes in and you fucking rape him by giving him spot instead of giving him what you're actually selling it for minus $25 or something. So what they should be giving them, if it's 1950 and they're selling it for 2,100 and I come in with an ounce of gold, they should give me like 2,050 for it. They shouldn't give me the 1950. They shouldn't give me the spot. They should give me a little bit less than what they sell it for, but they won't. But maybe they do actually give you spot, but that's why I'm not worried when it hits 50,000 and they want to give me 49.5. Okay, that's fine. But what are they going to use? Because there won't be a spot price anymore. It'll be the physical price from the Russian gold exchange. That's the price I want. So maybe they take 5% off. Fine, I don't care. If it's 50,000 and I get 49.5, fine. I'm not gonna bitch about it at that point. So how do we change perception? So that's Bobby's homework assignment, is getting your family to trust you, to change their perception that you are a highly intelligent person when it comes to gold and silver. And if you say jump, they better say how high, Bobby. None of this bullshit of, well, that's good, I'll keep my money. You can go buy silver, but I'm not going to listen to you. That's not acceptable, Bobby. I want them to say how high. So when you say buy the silver, I want them to pull out their money and buy the silver. So that's your homework. I expect a complete assignment from you in our next class, or next time you buy your silver. Take them to the coin store and have them buy it. And your goal is to change the perception, right? So that's what everybody's goal here is. When we talk to other people or family members about gold and silver, their perception is it has no value, or it's got a value, but it's not going to go up. And I want an investment. See, everybody wants to make money, which is so ridiculous. Well, I'm going to buy Bitcoin because I'll make money. Well, based on what? How do you know Bitcoin's going to make you money? I'll play poker to make money. I'll go to the casino and play slot machines to make money. Everybody wants to make money. I'll buy stock. I'll buy Microsoft or Amazon. I'll buy stocks, or I'll leave my money in the bank. It's safe there. I won't lose money. So all these perceptions are so wrong. You're going to lose your ass by leaving your money in the bank if you can even get it out. Number one. Number two, the value of your money is dropping. So if you put it in the stocks or bonds, you're getting fucked anyway, because even if you sell it, so your Microsoft goes from 10,000 to 11,000 and you sell it, you really didn't make 1,000 because the inflation, and it's worth 9,000. So you're not even making money on because of the inflation on your money. It says 11,000, but the 11,000 doesn't buy what the 10,000 bought 6 months ago. It now buys 9,000 worth. So will the Fed start lowering interest rates before they blow up the economy? Probably, because they don't want to get blamed for it. So they get blamed, you raised interest rates too much, you blew it up. So they're blowing up the rest of the world. So they need to stop blowing it up, but they're doing what China's telling them to do. Powell's an idiot, and he's listening to Larry Fink, the chairman of BlackRock. They're in bed together, the two of them. So he's listening to, so he's not doing what is normal. Like, that's the one thing about me. There is nobody pulling my strings. I am the puppet master. I'm not being puppeted. And you guys are the puppet masters, and you're not being puppeted. The guy in the hot tub is being puppeted by Peter Schiff, of all people. How the fuck would you listen to Peter Schiff? Jesus Christ, you got to be an idiot. Anyway, that's what's going on. The Peter Schiffs and all that bullshit. So what's today? Tuesday, I think. Yeah. I'll see my friend in the hot tub. She gives me the information on the meds. Where are my girls? See, now it's like 9:30, 10. They go to bed. They contact me. Come on. So that's our real issue, if we want it, is changing perception. Because right now, the people's perceptions are fucked. So the question is, do we want to change perceptions? So people like me want to help people. Who's this guy? See, I want to help people, but I got to change their perception. So now here's a scam. It says, I just sent somebody Bitcoin for $2.99 US. This is clearly a scam, right? It says in my email that I sent this guy a Bitcoin. So I'm going to check that out. So I'm going to go into my PayPal. So let's go into PayPal and see if the Bitcoin. So this is a scam going on. This is a Madoff. So I'm going to show you. You don't go into the email or call the person. You go into your own PayPal. So let's see. So let's go into PayPal and see if there was a PayPal sent to this idiot in the scam. So I am going into my own PayPal. And let's see if I see something sent. And I don't see anything sent. This is my girlfriend in Russia. So you can see recent activity. I did not send the Bitcoin, right? So Anna is the sister of my Russian friend. So you can see I didn't send. So you can see it's a scam. So if you get an email saying you just did something, you ignore it. Now I can have some fun with the idiot. Now they left me a phone. Now I'll never go in off of the link on the email. But what I can do, so you notice it's Robert Brown with no subject. Well, who fucking would not put a subject in? So if I go into Robert Brown, he gives a fake PayPal logo and says you just sent 0.000147 BTC, which I assume is Bitcoin, for $300. Congratulations, you have successfully sent, which I didn't. If I need help with anything, please don't hesitate to drop us a call. And here's a help desk number. And here's an invoice. Please check your order details. Bill desk. This charge will appear on your PayPal statement. Please keep the information on file and mention your order ID for any. So cheers the bill desk. Who fucking sent this? Is obviously not from PayPal. PayPal, I get emails from PayPal, not from a guy named Robert Brown, who's look how stupid this guy is. He's saying I'm Robert Brown sending me an invoice. It wouldn't come like that. It would come through PayPal. So when you guys buy a football pick, I get a PayPal that says you bought somebody just bought, a week of pros for $75, and I see the invoice from PayPal in here, not from a Robert Brown to I love Bill 02. So if I look at the details, here's another way. So in the details are all these people. So he's trying to scam all these people, right? Look at all these people on the scam. So this is what he's doing. He's sending this blanket out to all these people, trying to get $299, $300. So it's a fucking joke. So I can call and say, oh, geez, yeah, I see this invoice, which makes no sense. Billing ID, for that. So, this is just bullshit, right? But that's what you do just because you see this. Don't get excited. Don't go through the link. Don't call. Now, watch, if I call, he's going to say, yeah, I have this. What's I need your PayPal and your password, or I need your bank account information or something. They'll ask for, give me your social security and your date of birth and your address or something to scam you with. And if somebody does, now if I feel like playing, I'll just simply give them a phony number, right? Well, here's my social security number. It's 123456789 or something, or I'll give them a phony bank account. My name is JB Diamond at JP Morgan. Here's my account. Just something like that. But it's just, you can see it's a scam. It's going to all these people, and nobody sends Rick Brown. Oh, by the way, there's a PayPal for Bitcoin. I don't know what he's trying to gain out of this. If he's trying to get you to call and then ask for the information, we can play that game and see if that's what he wants. A lot of people just don't have the knowledge, the discipline, nor the balls to invest, and they have zero patience. I don't know that it's zero patience, Bobby. It's fear. They don't want to lose. And mostly women are like this. They don't want to invest because they don't want to lose. That's why you don't see a lot of women poker players. They can't handle the pressure and they can't handle losing. Men have the egos that think they know what they're doing and can play, but they won't do it. But women don't have the balls to gamble. They can't lose. They don't know. They don't want to gamble. They don't want to lose. And they'd rather just scam guys for money. That's their way of doing it. They can't lose that way. So when Carmen wants me to buy her drinks, there's no risk on her part. I buy her drinks. Oh, the bill comes at $60 for the 3 drinks I have, and she wants me to pay for it. So there's no loss on Carmen, but she's not risking anything. She doesn't even play. She doesn't have any money in the game. So I don't know that it's patience, because as I see here, we're on 2 hours and you guys are still with me. You guys come and go, but you have patience if it's important. You have patience to watch a football game. You have patience to play poker for an hour. So the patience is there. You don't have the ability to analyze like I do, to think it through, to go, what's going on? Why should I do this? Why is gold about to go up? What's the difference? even the guys when I worked in Alabama, I would go, well, I know the stock market's going to crash. You probably need to get out of it. And they go, well, it's going to go down, but it's going to come back up. And how do you know this? How do you make that comment? Oh, because that's what it's done before. Yeah, but Tom Brady's not on New England anymore. You can't use that as an answer. So it's like saying when New England came back before, when they were down, they're going to come back again. Well, no, Tom Brady's not there. They're not. They have Mac Jones, who sucks. Or Seattle, you don't have Russell Wilson anymore. I mean, so there's things that have changed. So everybody assumes that the market is going to crash and come back. And I'm saying it's not going to crash and come back. It's going to crash and burn. And the only stocks that are going to do anything are gold stocks, but they're all going to crash first. No stock's going to just go up. And when I hear people, well, okay, it looks like the worst is over. Now it's time to buy. These are morons. These are people that have no concept of what inflation is. Oh, it's prices. And it looks like the prices are going back down. No, it's not prices. It's you're printing the money. And any gold price, any price that goes down, like Oreos went down, is because like Toyota, they need to lower their price. They can't sell it to stay in business. Does that mean inflation went away because Toyota tried to sell their cars at 35, couldn't, and now lowered it back, or tried to sell it at 30, now it's 25. That's not inflation. It's business. They can't sell the car at 30,000, so they have to lower their price. Does not mean inflation went away. It just simply means they couldn't sell it. So that then you have to understand, why did the price go down? Was it inflation stopped or they couldn't do it? Why is Tesla lowering his price? Because you can't sell them. Does that mean inflation's gone? No, it doesn't mean inflation's gone. Because you can't just raise your prices, because as we've talked, it's all about the fucking market. It's about what me and Bobby want. We want ribs, but how much are we going to pay for them? So if you mark your ribs $40, me and Bobby aren't buying them. But if you lower the price back down to the 25 area that we are comfortable paying, we will buy them. So if you raise them, it's not inflation. That's just you raised your price. And if you lower it, it's not inflation coming down. This is where me and Bobby are willing to buy it, and we're not going to buy it up here. We'll order the chicken or the pig's ears, but they don't have pig's ears here. So that's really the difference. This is not inflation going up, and it's not inflation coming down. The prices are, because you need to get more, are really like in the housing business, where it's really the lender. Because if I lend Bobby $10,000 and I want to get $12,000 back from him, I want to make $2,000, I have to charge him $15,000, because the value of the $15,000 is going to be $12,000 after you get done with the inflation. That's about the only thing inflation, and that's going to be more on the interest rate than on the actual price. I'm loaning him 10 grand is what he wants. Got nothing to do with the inflation. It's the interest rate that I charge Bobby is indicative of the inflation of me getting back 12,000. So I got to charge him enough interest to get back the 12,000. Me personally, I wouldn't loan any money out. It's good to actually borrow now, because you're going to pay back in inflated dollars. That's the beauty of it, right? You're going to pay back in inflated dollars, your car payment, your mortgage, and things like that. Now, we're all hoping credit cards, when they come out with the new dollar, go to zero. I mean, I'm hoping that, and I'm not paying what I should, but I don't know what's going on. So we will see, but that's kind of what's happening. So because prices go down doesn't mean inflation's going down. It just seems, because prices and inflation are apples and oranges. You're ruining the money does not make prices go up. It makes interest rates go up, but not prices. And again, so they'll hit 5%. It'll bankrupt the whole world, the Euro, Chinese, Japanese, the British, all these countries are going to are all fucked, the Indians, and because of the higher interest rates. Well, you've already fucked Russia. They're sanctioned, so they're not even playing with the interest rate games. So because you sanction Russia is why gold's going to go up, basically, in a nutshell, because how do they protect themselves with the gold? By making the gold price go up. And since you've already sanctioned them away, they don't have a fear of you. Because all Putin says, I'm going to nuke you. So if you go to war with me over gold, I'm going to nuke you. And you can see that we back down. So now he knows they're not going to nuke us. So we can move forward with our plan to make our money backed by gold and to make the gold price physical go up and have a gold exchange to get the real price of gold, not the bullshit price. So that's really the truth and the real perception. Changing people's perceptions is going to be they've got to be open to it. Now, when I took my master's class in the mid 90s, I didn't know what I was expecting. I took one in my undergrad at Oakland University. It was the worst economics. I didn't understand anything because he was talking Keynesian economics. It was all Chinese with these fancy words that were at a very strange level. They weren't at a high level, but they were a different language. It would be like people talking Chinese to you. That's Keynesian economics. And if you don't speak Chinese, you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Then I go into my master's program, and all of a sudden I get the guy teaching Austrian economics. And guess what? He's using English, and he's using a very low level of English that everybody in their fucking mind can understand. Now I learn it and I understand it, and I spit it out to you without barely going to my notes, which I've got from my fucking class here. Look at the date, 6/8/93 is when I took this class. This is 6/2/93, and I know it as perfectly today as I did then because it all makes sense because I grasped the concepts. And once you learn something, I didn't memorize it. I know it, and that's the whole difference. And I'm passionate about it, and that's what I'm trying to do is get you to know it and be able to explain it, but be more able to differentiate it away from people that don't know it, the Peter Schiffs who don't know it, who are trying to pass off as they know it. And that's what really their perception's wrong. So I got to stop getting angry at Peter Schiff. Mostly I just call them idiots, going, you guys don't know anything, you're idiots. So basically that's the difference. Anyway, so that's what's going on. And that's really, so I've come up and figured out I'm going to delete this Robert Brown bullshit. Okay. So anyway, that's what it is people's perceptions. They've got to be open to change. So when I took the economics class, I didn't have any perception of economics. I didn't know what the hell it was. There's a lot of supply and demand and a lot of graphs. So I basically sat there going, I don't know what this is. Then I get taught it with being open-minded because it wasn't changing my perception of anything. My perception was nothing. So now you're filling it in my perceptions. And I'm going, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And now I form my perception from the class of Austrian economics in 93 and 94. And now how do you change my perception? Well, I'm open to getting it changed, but you've got to come up with a valuable reason to change it, which you can't do. Once you do that, then it's a whole different story. So until you change the perception of until you come out with something. So in other words, my perception of San Francisco, Philadelphia has changed because Brock Purdy's come in, and I'm like, wow, yeah, my perception of Frisco is they're a very strong team. And my perception of Philly is they're a very strong team. Where in the beginning of the year, my perception was not that they were strong teams. We weren't betting them every week. We should have been, but we weren't. Cincinnati, we always had a strong perception. I went to the Super Bowl. In Kansas City, I always thought they didn't have a defense. So as the numbers come in and Frisco is a 16, it changed my perception going, this team has a fucking awesome defense. look out for them. And now I see Philly's got a great defense, and now I'm going under on a game that I probably would never have gone under on because I wouldn't have guessed that. That's how you change perceptions based on reality. You see what Frisco's doing, and now and that's really what makes me successful handicapping and playing poker is my perception of how do you play the hands, how do you bet the games. And as I say, oh, wait, Utah, Rising was on the bench last year. Then he starts playing, and then they start scoring. Oh, that just changed my perception of Utah. Now they're an over team. Van Dyke in Miami. USC brings their coach and quarterback from Oklahoma, and now they're running Oklahoma's offense. Changed my perception to this is a high-scoring team. So that's really what you're doing is you're changing your perception based on reality of what's happening. So you've got to be open to say, wait a minute, USC with the new coach and quarterback are now a high-scoring team. So you have to be open-minded to do that. You can't say, well, USC sucked the last few years. They're sucking now, or UCLA or Utah or Oregon or Washington or any of these teams, you now realize the perception is they're high scoring. Or TCU, when they played Oklahoma, it changed my perception that now they are a high scoring team. They looked very fast against Oklahoma, and they put up 50 points on them. And I said, fuck, this is a great team. So that's how you get your perception changed to reality. And that's the point of it. So you're looking at what's going on to what reality is. So you've got to do the same with gold and economics. You've got to be open to Austrian economics. You've got to be open to what's changing in gold, and it's the BRICS countries and all this. So you've got to be open to that. And that's what's critical about it. So as you're figuring it out and you're more open to it, that's the difference. So anyway, that's what happens, and you've got, but that's how our perception gets changed. But how does this guy at the hot tub change his perception? And they're not smart enough to change. That's why they keep losing, and that's how we keep winning. We go with the change in perception of the team changes. And now we're on Cincinnati because they got Joe Burrow. And now we're betting on them. Well, 2 years ago, we never bet Cincinnati. And now, well, Mahomes, okay, we bet KC. Buffalo, now our perceptions changed that Josh Allen sucks. So now what do we think of Buffalo? Our perception's just been changed. Detroit's getting better. Chicago sucks. So as the teams start adjusting, it changes your perception in that. In women, in gold and economics, everything gets changed. Well, JP Morgan was controlling gold, but now they're not. The derivatives were controlling it, but it's blown up. And now the BRICS countries are coming out with a physical gold standard and physical gold price changes everything. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve by buying it, knowing, well, the price of gold and silver is going to go way up based on what's happening. So the perception's changed. So the perception of gold not going up should change with what's going on. And now we go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's what needs to happen. You have to have that perception. And I understand it. I think most people don't. Does Bobby's family, is he going to change their perception? I'm not going to talk to the guy in the hot tub. And I think from now on, anybody in the hot tub will say, what do you think of the BRICS countries? And if they don't know, then I start talking about the weather, if I even want to waste my time talking to idiots. And that's kind of how I view them. Like, they're too stupid to have a conversation with, so I'm not going to have a conversation with them. I'm not going to try to teach you gold. I'll teach you guys, but I'm not going to try to teach these idiots in the hot tub or at a restaurant about gold. Like, you don't, because I don't know that you want to learn it. The Bobbies and the Phils and the guys here, I know want to learn it. But the guys at the restaurant, like, I'm putting the forum and you guys are watching. You're interested. If I'm at a restaurant, I go up to somebody, it's not necessarily they want to learn it, right? They're not, oh, I want to learn about gold. So they don't. Once in a while, I get people that will, and they'll go, huh, that's interesting. Those are the open people, but that's few and far between. So that's really what is the key to this, which is what I did last night. Now I'm going to go and hot tub and swim, and I'm going to see what these people do and what anything new is. I'm not going to look for this guy. I doubt I'll see him because you see different people all the time. And I'm not going to really bring it up. I'll bring it up to my friend who's the head of the lifeguards because we've been talking about it for a year, gold and silver. I know she's into it. And I know I can talk to her, but these new people, you just don't know what you can talk to them about. So you just, it's like the girl with the football bat. I thought I could talk to her. I couldn't. But yet my girlfriends, if I say, if Cincinnati wins, I'll give you $100, they don't sit there and go, oh, you obviously want sex with me. I mean, that's ridiculous. So that's the difference of what's going on and what reality is. So that's what we have. So we know gold is going to go through the roof. We know the economy is crashing with the high interest rates because high cost ruin the economy because things cost more. Because things cost more, the economy, you buy less, right? Because you have less money. If taxes go up, the economy crashes because you've taken money out of the economy. It has to slow down. That's why they had interest rates at 0%, was to stimulate the economy because that gave us more money. Now interest rates at 5%. Of course, there's a recession because you've made things cost more. The borrowing costs, nobody's buying a car or a house, which of course slows the economy. And it, of course, slows the automakers. They can't sell. They're not going to do all these tier 1 and tier 2 things that they need. We need lights. Well, we're not selling cars. We don't need lights because nobody's buying the cars we have. And that's what's going to happen. But they're not smart enough because they don't know Austrian economics to understand that on their own. This is the problem why these car companies and companies go bankrupt, because they don't have a clue of what I'm teaching. If they understood what I'm teaching, they would never go out of business, because as soon as you see rates go up, you'd run and buy gold and silver, and that would be it. And then you'd be fine. So it's really strange what they're doing. But anyway, that's your lesson for today. Proceed, Bobby. I want an A+ on that homework. So you need to change your family's perception of silver, and they should want to buy it. So that's your homework assignment. Outside of that, we'll go through football one more time. I got Frisco laying, getting 2.5, 45.5. I think will be a very tight, low-scoring game. I think it'll be 2017 San Francisco. Cincinnati, Kansas City. We now have Cincinnati -2, still at 47.5. Mahomes is shaken up. I don't see how this is going over. Cincinnati with a very good defense going into KC without their quarterback, or very limited, are not going to score. They just held Josh Allen to 10 points. I hardly see Mahomes limping around putting up a 30 on him. So I see them weak. I just see Cincinnati winning probably like 30-13 or something, 31-13, we'll say. That would be my guess, and probably so it'll be a lower scoring game. So both games should be lower. These championship games tend to be low scoring, conservative. They punt all the time. They don't want to take too much of a risk. They're not going to go for it on 4th down. Punt, play field position, which tends to make it an Army-Navy game and lower scoring. So that's how I look at it. Cincinnati now at 2. I would say get your bet in before Cincinnati goes to 3. However, if that means Mahomes is out, or he's only playing a little, or he's going to test the foot, or it doesn't get better, it won't really matter. They'll beat him by 20. But for betting purposes, like I said, I've already got my bet in. I got 1.5, so I teased it up to 7.5. Because I'm a sharp who doesn't wait for the last minute to bet. I'm a sharp who bets it as soon as he sees it's a good bet. So anyway, so that's football, that's gold, that's women, that's poker. Did I miss anything? Bobby, anything else? Perception. What we're dealing with is 95% of America is living in a blind matrix perception that gold and silver won't move, that they should be in stocks. keep their money in the bank, and the higher interest rates will solve the inflation, and everything's going to be rosy once they fix everything like 2008. This is the matrix they're living in. We've taken our pills. We're out of the matrix. We realize gold and silver is going through the roof. Bitcoin's going to zero. The dollar's going to zero. The economy is going to shit. The stock market's going to crash. That's just the reality of it. And I'm not going to apologize. Some of these idiots go, well, I hope I'm wrong. What do you mean you hope you're wrong? You can see what's happening. They're printing the dollar to death. That's not, I'm hoping I'm wrong. This is the reality of what's happening. But I'm not the one printing the money. I'm the one warning you that this is what the printing of the money does, but I'm not going to warn you, or I hope I'm wrong. I know I'm right. That's the problem. So you protect yourself with gold and silver. Get out of the fucking market so you don't lose. Get out of the dollar so you don't lose, and get out of the crypto so you don't lose. So I'm trying to prevent you from losing and giving you the way out, which is gold and silver. That's what I'm trying to do. The guy even said yesterday I should buy real estate. I says, why? Real estate's useless unless you're going to what? Farm on it or put a condo on it, put Caesar's Palace on it. To just have a plot of land sitting there, why would it have a value? Who would want to buy it? It's just a plot of land. It's not limited. I can go buy land next to you. Why would I pay you for your land unless you do something with it? And I'm not a farmer. So I laughed at the guy. Why would you be in real estate? Like they think that's the out because they don't want to be in gold and silver. I'll buy real estate. Oh, okay. And what are you going to do with your real estate? Oh, nothing. Oh, well, then why? It won't have a value. It'll be the fat, ugly girl sitting there without a value. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on. I think it's 3 o'clock, time for some lunch. I think I'm going to go to my barbecue place. I've been kind of craving my chicken and ribs, and I think I'm off to there. Then I need a few groceries, and I'm going to go swim. So anyway, that's what it is. And we'll ignore our PayPal for 1,000 people trying to get scammed. Thanks, Professor. Take it easy, class. You're welcome, Phil, anytime. I don't think I'll have a night class tonight. I mean, I could if you really want it, but I try to cover everything here, and you can watch it. I was kind of upset and wanted to do a night class over what I did, but after sleeping on it and thinking about it, now I'm really coming up with the professor figuring out what it is and what to do, that this guy's perception of reality is wrong, and we can't change the perception of his reality being wrong, but we can't try to change it on our own. He's got to want to change it, which he doesn't know. And so we've got to stop trying to help people that don't want to be helped, that live in a alternate universe, in a alternate reality, that you could tell them the moon's green and they just, you can tell them that the sun's yellow and they won't believe you. So there's really not much you can really do with them. You just leave them alone and stop trying to be the angel and the hero like you are. You've got your people that you are. The other people are just all going to get fucked, and there's nothing we can do about it. They won't listen. The tidal wave is right off the shore now, and we're saying, look at the tidal wave, and they're going, no, the tidal wave won't, but it won't hit us. So you're like, oh, okay. I guess there's nothing I can say to them. Anyway, have a great day. You got your football. We'll keep an eye on Mahomes. I don't expect to be on tonight, but certainly go to www.teaserking.com and you can get my email, and you're welcome to email me with questions, and we talk. Me and Nick talk that way all the time. This way he's not, waiting, or let's say he's working, so he can't jump on the show. And I know a lot of people are working. Anyway, www.teaserking.com. Good luck, everybody. Have a great day. All right. Thank you. And, be well. Watch your gold go up.